We're live. I think we're live now. And hey guys, we're live now. I think so. Yeah. We got a bang up show. We got Ray and then Missy Hill later. It's going to be amazing. We're going to play the intro and get started.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I'm really excited about my show tonight. I kind of put it together like a old school, like Art Bell type show. I had two shows. I had Ray coming on, Breakaway Ray, which I'll tell you about my guests a little bit, and then I had Missy coming on, and I said, well, why don't I just combine the show? So we're gonna do Ray from 7 to 9. He'll do tarot, and we'll talk about 4th of July, SSP, and breakaway civilizations and all that stuff. And then Missy will come on from probably like 9 to 10:30. So it'll be like a 3.5 hour show. I'll probably take a bathroom break in between there somewhere, but yeah, a little bit more about my guest, Breakaway Ray, aka R. Snow. He's the author of the Convoluted Autobiography. He's a secret space program. He writes about it. He's an intuitive tarot reader and a planetary grid researcher. Ray shares profound spiritual insights, timeline navigation, and deep knowledge of hidden programs, helping others reclaim their sovereignty in the matrix. And Ray's readings blend a direct psychic hits layered with spiritual decoding, assisting individuals to align with higher timelines. And also I'll be like trying to fundraise for the Full Disclosure Now event. I'm going to be going to that, you guys know, in a couple of days. If I do go, I'll be going in a couple of days. So I'll be leaving until July 10th, and I'll be riding down with Gina Virginia Casella, which will be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm just trying to tie up a few loose ends, and then I'll go. But so with all that said, I'd like to give Ray a big warm welcome back to the show. Ray, thanks for coming on. Oh, and happy 4th of July, everybody! Happy 4th of July, America!
Yeah.
I love America. I do. I love my country. I really do. I get conspiracy and stuff like that, Ray, but like I do love being American at the end of the day. I really do.
That's right. I got to say, I'm pretty proud to be American also. I know there's a lot of things we'd like to see fixed. And one of the ways we fix it is by coming on your show and pointing out what we know to each other and learning from each other. Because, if it's really a democracy, we all have to participate. And participation means we have to keep an eye on things and we have to vote and things like that. And a lot of countries, they don't have this opportunity. So I'm right with you, Rob. Happy July 4th to you. Happy July 4th to everyone out there in your audience tonight. And in case your audience is not aware, I want to share that this is my 1-year anniversary of coming on Rob's show for the very first time in 2024. And my appearance on Rob's show last July 4th really changed my life. And I just want to say how grateful I am to Rob. I'm a kind of a new person now than I was a year ago. And I'm having a lot of fun showing up for the holidays and spending time with Rob and the audience on the holidays. So it's great to be here. Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, it's become a tradition that I have you and Missy on every holiday, like you, and it's always you start off the first part and then Missy comes on and does the second part. So it's always really interesting having you both on. I really look up to both you guys, like Missy's amazing and you're amazing. And I just I look forward to these holidays doing these shows with you guys. I really do. It makes my whole night, in my whole week.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so grateful to be opening for Missy. She's a great presenter. She's a great thinker. I love listening to her. So, what an honor. Earlier last month, I think you had me on right before Shawn Bond. Again, what an honor. But what I noticed, Rob, is that I think I was on show 1,360 something the first time. And now we're up to 2,000 something. That's like 600 shows or something like that, Rob. That's averaging 2 a day. You're amazing. You're amazing. We
sometimes I do 3. Yeah, like yesterday I did 3 a day. 3. I had on My Lab Gone Rogue. Then I had on Amanda Joan of Heart. Then I had on Susan Long at night. And then I did someone else's. I did Light Talk with Dana's podcast too. So yeah. I like to stay busy. I don't know. Because I figure if I'm doing it full time, I might as well put my full effort in, But then I don't have time to catch up on my other work, Like I kind of let emails go sometimes. So if if you're out there and I haven't emailed you, back, or if I haven't responded to your message, it's because I'm always busy. But but I will get back to you eventually. I always do. So yeah. But
That's been my experience with you, Rob. You always email me back. It might take you a while, wait till you get to your computer and you're doing that stuff, but I know you get back to me. You're solid, dude. You're solid.
No, thanks, man. So do you have any cool, before we get into the tarot, do you have any cool, like, 4th of July stories from, like, your childhood or your time teaching, or anything that mixes the paranormal into it, or anything just weird that ever happened to you, or anything funny or anything like that?
Yeah, you're awesome, Rob. You made me think about my own life for a second. If we get to it, it's great. I've got like a couple of tarot throws I want to throw about July 4th and about disclosure. We can get to that later. And then, when I moved out from New York when I was in high school, I started as a freshman in 1980. And I made friends with these guys. And one of our friends, he had like 4 brothers. And they always threw a party for July 4th, and all the brothers would invite all their friends. So by the time the party got going, it looked like a fraternity house, dude. There were guys everywhere, and not to mention there were nice young ladies attending the party also. But it was a lot of fun. One of my friends, okay, so keep in mind, this is a July 4th party. This is not conspiratorial or anything. But one of my friends tells this story the best. He says, remember at the parties, we had like 6 or 7 teenage boys were sitting in the jacuzzi, and there was a keg right next to the jacuzzi, and everybody's enjoying from the keg while they're in the jacuzzi, and nobody gets out of the jacuzzi to go to the restroom.
Oh gosh. That means you had some yellow jacuzzi water, right? Some Mountain Dew.
I don't think any of those guys in the jacuzzi would notice it. I know I wouldn't have. I'm sure I was in there also, but that was way back in the 80s. And right now, they're having a party tonight over at my friend's house. And I hope to go over there later when we're done with the podcast. But I'm in no hurry because, it's only 4 o'clock out here in California. And it's plenty of time to get there before fireworks. The other thing I want to tell you was moving back to conspiratorial. I'm pretty sure you're aware of a lady named Jane Celia Hatch.
Yeah, Jane Cecilia Hatch. She's awesome. I like her a lot.
Yeah. So I just caught one of her podcasts, and she was interviewing John Whitberg. I'm a big fan of John Whitberg. So yeah. I told you this story on Halloween. It was still unbelievable then. And John Whitberg repeated it on Ms. Hatch's show. And if it's all right with you, on July 4th, I'd love to repeat the story about what he said about how the people at Project Phoenix, what we know as the Montauk Project, they arranged history so that the North would win the Civil War. Would that sound like fun if I would recapitulate that story, Rob?
Yeah, but I wanted to tell you real quick. I heard through the grapevine that John Whitberg's going to be at the conference I'm going to. Full disclosure now, and I'm hoping to get a side interview with him because it's hard to book an interview with him because he's always busy, or I'm always busy. So, but I like John a lot. If he ever sees this, I've had him on my show before and stuff, but I'm hoping to get a side interview with him if I go to the conference. It's like a 70% chance I'm going to the conference now. I'm waiting for a couple things to come through. And if that happens, it looks like I'll be going. But, I'm planning it out with Gina, like as if we're going, you know what I mean? Because I have some money saved up. But yeah. So, So, yeah.
That would be awesome. It would be awesome for all of us, obviously, if you could go. And, I got my fingers crossed. I'm here to help tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to donate for a tarot reading from me. But if you do, it's going to go straight to Rob. I don't want any part of the action. I want Rob to go to the conference. I want Rob to keep doing his show. And, however he uses that money towards his show is fine with me. If he needs to buy a new computer or whatever. I'm just here for the fun of throwing the tarot cards. It's like a lab for me, a laboratory to learn how to do tarot. I've only been doing it a couple of months. But that John Whitberg fella, he is so young here on Earth. He's only 24 years old. But when you consider all the lifetimes he's lived, the guy's, I think he even said he couldn't compute how old he could possibly be. I think he even put on Facebook this past week, he got taken 3 times in one night. We hear about the Tony Rodriguez story. He got taken 1 time as far as he knows, or as far as he tells us. And, he did 20 back and he came back. And this John Whitberg fella, he gets pulled out, 3 times a night to do 20 and backs and 60 and backs because his psionic talents are so great and valuable. People keep picking him up all the time. Again, he's such a young man. here's the other part I want to share about him before I get to the story that he tells. You know, when I'm a teacher, right? I've been teaching a long time. I got credentials and degrees and things like that. And one of the things I study is, you know, how do people know things? How do they learn things? And I just got to listen to that guy for 10 minutes. And it sounds to me like he's got the knowledge of a PhD in various sciences and various histories. How do you even know about like the black operations in Asiatic countries? How do you even understand what happened in Vietnam? You weren't even born yet, you know? So, you know, he's got a lot of knowledge because of who he is. And I just think he's remarkable. I don't understand why, you know, it has to do with, you know, our media, the mainstream media. You know, if there was a guy like that out there, I'd be like saying, we got to get this guy in front of the camera. He's got to tell us what's going on. But obviously there's a lot of people.
What do I think about John?
Sorry,
I was going to say, what I think about John, I think John's an old soul. So he's a young guy, but he's an old soul. And I think he's had a lot of lifetimes here. And I think because he's so tapped into this reality, he's able to tap into his other lifetimes and other realities. And that's what brings this information for. It's like his book, The Man with Periwinkle Eyes, is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't think that a 24-year-old guy would write that. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's so advanced. You know what I mean? But I guess these are his experiences, you know? So it's probably, you know, like he's just telling the firsthand account, you know? It's like, but it's really amazing. I mean, how detailed it is and like, you know, how intricate he is with his writing. It's like, it blows me away. So I feel you on him 100%, you know? Yeah,
you hit the nail on the head. That's what I mean. You could tell just by the way he uses language, that doesn't sound like a 24-year-old, you know? So kudos to him. Yeah. Way to go, Mr. Whitberg. You're a good writer also, to boot. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, on July 4th, I'm going to recapitulate a story Mr. Whitberg tells. You know, he deals with timeline shifts. And over at Project Phoenix, also known as the Montauk Project, sometimes they would go back in time and manipulate things to meet a certain end. So the certain end that they were looking for, and I guess they were taking a lot of their direction from an ancient artificial intelligence far underneath Montauk, the island. You know, they would send someone down to go talk to the AI, and that person would come up and tell everyone what the plan was. So anyway, the plan was that they had to make sure that the North won the Civil War, because they had to make sure that there was a secret space program on Earth, which of course started with the Germans, and especially the Antarctic Germans in the mid and late 40s. So according to Mr. Whitberg's story, it goes something like this, and I hope everyone will forgive me if I mess up, but it turns out in a reality, the South won the Civil War, and here's where the problem started, because then you had the North and the South as two separate countries, and they had their own separate treasury, and they were not united, and they weren't like a giant superpower like we are today with all 50 of our states together. So when World War I broke out, neither the South nor the North, the United States or the Confederate States, neither country could do much in the way of helping out in World War I or changing anything. And so the Germans won World War I. And because the Germans World War I, they did not need World War II. And if they didn't need World War II, there's no secret space program. The Draco don't make a deal with the NAZIs, etc. So the people in Montauk, Project Phoenix, went back in time. They made sure that the South lost the war and that the North won. And therefore, you have a united United States of America. And then when World War II rolls around, the United States can actually stand up to a certain extent against the governing power in Germany. And at that time, the people in Germany said, you know, this may or may not work out. We're still experimenting with space travel. Let's get that Orsic lady and get some channeling done and build some spaceships and get out of here. We'll go down and colonize Antarctica and leave from there. And so, according to Mr. Whitberg, the situation that we have now with the secret space program and the fact that the United States won World War II, I have some questions about that, and the Germans leaving from Antarctica, that all was brought about because the kids at Project Phoenix went back in time and made sure that the South lost the Civil War. There's lots of ins and outs. Mr. Whitberg speaks to it better than I do, but I just think that that's an interesting thing. You know, with the American flag hanging in the background, as far as I'm concerned, I think we came out ahead. I also think that, you know, with the disclosure movement, and as we're working on disclosure here in the 21st century, you know, it's going to benefit everyone in the United States. You know, we're going to have more access to it. We don't have access to it now. I think even Jane Hatch was saying something like, we live like the Flintstones and everyone else lives like in a regular world, you know, considering what kind of technology we have. We're so far behind everybody else. But if we start waking up to it, you know, it's kind of like the whole Santa Claus thing. You know, when little kids see that their parents are making presents, they kind of figure out they're wrapping presents. They kind of figure out what's going on, right? And we kind of figure out what's going on here. We see the spaceships. We know what's going on. We've got people with psionic powers telling us what's going on. And eventually you can't hide Santa Claus from us forever. And I don't want to be the one comparing Santa Claus to the secret space program, except it's a thing that, you know, you pretend is not real, or, you know, it's something that's hidden or whatever. It's a way of organizing knowledge, compartmentalizing things. We would compartmentalize Santa Claus, but now we know what the real deal is with Santa. Sorry if there's anyone out there who is looking for presents from Santa, you know, ask your mom and dad about it. And, you know, we don't know a lot about the secret space program, except on shows like Rob's show, where we get to talk about it all the time. And anyway, it's great having a platform like Rumble where we could talk about this stuff. I know that YouTube doesn't want to be an esoteric channel.
Yeah, I agree. Phil has a question from the audience. Phil says, I'm curious if he thinks that the Montauk project was actually Zeta Grays from Orion technology, as well as the Philadelphia experiment. Wouldn't that be the Draco then? Because they're controlled by the Draco, right? Or no, I guess the Orion Empire is like the Draco, the Zetas, and so I think you're onto something, Phil. But I think it all goes back to the reptilians, right? I mean, I think, aren't they like the head honchos in charge of everything? Like, aren't they even in control of this planet right now as we speak? With the Anunnaki or something like that? You know, so, I don't know. I don't want to say I know, because like I'm not sure, but like I'm just throwing ideas out there, you know. And you know, I never want to say I know for sure, because I have no clue, you know.
I'm in the same boat with you. I can only share what I've heard. That, you know, and that doesn't mean I know anything. I'm repeating something that I haven't really verified. But you know, the Draco are basically the landlords in the whole area. It includes, you know, this whole area of the galaxy, and the Anunnaki were like in charge of our planet. They were like the superintendent, if you will, and they had to pay tribute. But because the Draco owned Earth, you know, they didn't care what the Anunnaki did as long as they got their tribute. You know, they don't care if the Anunnaki do whatever they're going to do to us or whatever. But the Anunnaki, number one, I hear there's not a lot of them. And number two, that, you know, we already know they look down upon us. You know, they are our creators as far as they're concerned. And so I believe that there's been some movement outside our planet where you have, I don't want to give too much credit to Solar Warden, but let's just say some off-world partnerships. You know, they're making sure that, you know, no dark side people come to Earth and no one escapes Earth. I think it was Daryl James. He said something like they had to set up a certain, like a gauntlet for people who are coming in through the Stargate to get into our solar system. And any ship that comes in through that Stargate, they would just fire upon, because no one's allowed in. And they, so there's no way, like the controllers, you know, the families that control us, all of their best ships are outside the solar system, and now they can't get in. I'm just telling stories I've heard. And meanwhile, it's like a big standoff. They're kind of like waiting for us to duke it out down here on Earth. And the guys that feel like, you know, they left their house for a vacation or whatever, and now they can't get back in. It's kind of like out here in California. You know, you left your house, and then there was a brush fire, and now you're not allowed back in your neighborhood because, you know, the government says you can't come in. So this is like we kind of have the upper hand in a way, as far as I hear, but this is just what I hear, ladies and gentlemen. It's fun to talk about. That's what we do on the show, you know, and I'm sure, you know, there's always people coming on your show, Rob, that can add to the story or even correct what I have to say. I know I make some mistakes, you know, from time to time. I try not to, though. Yeah,
it's interesting, though, you know, tying all the pieces together. It's really fascinating. Well, should we get into the tarot? You know,
sure.
It's up to you.
Do you have someone who wants to go, or should I go ahead and do one of mine? I got like two things I can do.
Let's see. So if you got, so we didn't get any donations, but like, so if you want a reading, you can just put your name in the chat, and then you can get a reading. you don't have to donate. It's not obligate. You can just do it if you want. And then, and then Ray will, if you have a couple of things you want to go over, that's fine too, right? Okay. However you want to do it.
So unless you have someone standing by, I'll go ahead and show you what I got set up. So you have someone standing by, Rob? Is there someone?
Not yet.
All right, great. So here it is. We're on July 4th, 2025. And what I would like to do is I would like to compare today with another July 4th. And it would be either in the past or the future. And it could, so let's add, Rob, I wonder if you'd like to help. Would you like to find out about a July 4th in the future or in the past?
Sure. Yeah. For sure.
Future or past?
Past. Well, why don't you do future? Because we don't know it yet.
All right. So that's what I like to do, because we could look at the July 4th from today, and then we can compare it with the cards to find out how they're trying to communicate to us about the future July 4th. What year were you thinking?
2028. I'll be 48 years old then, if I'm still alive.
Okay. So I'm guessing then that you'd like to know, regarding July 4th for you today in comparison with July 4th, 2028. Is that correct? Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to get shuffling. That's what we'll compare. And I did this on a Julia Anchorhaven show. That was a great show. I enjoyed my time with Julia. And, if we understand, the story that they tell here, we can have a better idea of what they're trying to tell us in 4 years. So let me get going here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's amazing if it works. I know I got a lot of help. Happy to be doing it with you on your show here. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear about Rob today on July 4th and on July 4th, 2028. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear about Rob on July 4th today and Rob, July 4th, 2028. Please show us what we need to see about Rob. Some escapees there on July 4th today and July 4th, 2028. One more shot. Okay. All right. 2028 down here. All right. So this is for entertainment purposes only. I hope it tells us a fun story. Rob, July 4th, 2025. We start off with, all right, the Wheel of Fortune.
That's a good card, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I know you know. I was just going to say it signifies luck, but it also signifies fate and destiny.
Wow.
And they keep getting better, Rob. There's the Ace of Wands. There's magic in the air.
Wow.
All right. I love this card, the Queen of Wands. She's the lady that says, have zest for life. Go for it. And, oh, wow. The Eight of Wands, which indicates that something's going to happen soon. Rob, it also indicates flight or travel. So if I had to take a quick look at the cards, I would say I think it's destiny that you're here on July 4th with magic in the air. And we're both feeling a zest for life and feeling like we need to go for it. And we're taking off tonight. We're bringing everyone with us into flight as we think about things on Earth and off planet Earth. And then another way to look at it might be that as far as just specifically Rob on July 4th, maybe you're going to get lucky and there's going to be magic and this trip to Florida is going to be taken care of. So anyway, these cards seem to tell the story about today a little bit, right? I don't know if you See,
I would say, yeah, and that could be, very possible too. Like that's like from what you're reading, that seems like that could be, very Yeah, actually, yeah, that's amazing. Actually,
all right. So what's awesome is now we know how the cards want to tell us a story. Let's find out what's going to happen on your 50th birthday or your 40th. Your 50th?
48. I'll be 48. It's easy to track my birthday because I was born in 1980. So, like in 1990, I was 10, and 20. In 2000, I was 20, and 2010, I was 30, and 2020, I was 40, and 2050, I'll be 50. Wait, is that right? Yeah. No, wait. No. 2040, I'll be 50. Wait a minute. Yeah, I think so.
I'll be 60. Either way.
2030, I'll be 50. 2030, I'll be 50. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you will be 50. You're going to be there, and I'm going to be there on your birthday, too. I'm going to at least shoot you a text. Anyway, let's see what it looks like on July 4th, 2028. Oh, yay. It's the 10 of Cups, Rob. It's a dream come true card. There's also a sense of completion there. We're going to have to take a closer look at that. Hey, there's my other favorite card, the Star card. That's the name of my podcast. All right.
Yeah, the Star podcast, Star card podcast.
That's right. And then here's the Three of Pentacles. Rob, it's a card that indicates teamwork. And, the 10 of Pentacles. I think the cards are being very nice today. That indicates wealth and abundance. I'm going to have to read these cards more carefully for you. And then finally, in 2028, the Knight of Swords. So I'm going to get my magnifying glass out and read to you these so we can all see what's coming at you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. Let's see. All right. So the 10 of Cups, divine love, harmony, blissful relationships, alignment, inner happiness, fulfillment, dreams come true, family contentment, total love and support. So it really has like all the value. There is a sensation of a value with money, but really it's got all the other values besides money, doesn't it? It's got your dreams come true. It's got inner happiness. It's got divine love, love from the astral world, and, blissful relationships here on earth. So in 4 more years, things could be, by exponential scale, even more like what you have right now. You've got a strong fan base and a lot of people in the industry that respect you. Meanwhile, the Star card offering hope and faith, and it's touching upon the age of Aquarius there. The Star card, hope, calm, faith, purpose, renewal, spirituality, fortune, good omen, rejuvenation. Yeah, you're not going to be tired in 2028. When you're done on July 4th, 2028, you're going to be all, I got 3 podcasts tomorrow. I got to get ready to go. Okay, 3 of Pentacles, teamwork, collaboration, learning, implementation, building something. This is something you do with your guests and the people in your chat all the time. But for me, the 3 of Pentacles also indicates you got a spirit team that's working with you. I mean, I don't even have to prove that. You're on show 2070 something. Obviously, you have spiritual support. The 10 of Pentacles, wealth, financial security, family, long-term success, and contribution. I know you often talk about your contribution. When you leave someday, many, many years from now, you're going to leave behind this great library of interviews. Your contribution is on track in 2028. And then this one is basically like the message that go get them. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Charge. Here's what it says. Action-oriented, driven to succeed, fast thinking, defending beliefs. That totally sounds like you in 4 years, Rob. And thank you for letting me read for you. That was awesome.
That was amazing. Yeah, that was great. We did get a couple of donations. We got one from Anchor Haven. Thank you so much, Anchor Haven. And we got one from Missy Hill. So Anchor Haven and Missy, both stars of the podcast. They That's both want a reading. So I guess we could do Anchor Haven first because she asked first, and then we'll do Missy. And then whoever wants a reading after that, just put your name in the chat, and we'll get to you. And and I hope everybody's having a great 4th of July. I hope some people are listening at your barbecues with your family or whatever you're doing today, or if you're just sitting back having a couple beers or a coffee or whatever, So yeah.
So I'm happy to throw for Julia Anchor Haven again, but when I was on her show, we discussed this, and I think I discussed this with you on Christmas. This is the jar of the tomato sauce that I was talking about, Julia. It's called Victoria. I get it at Costco. I don't know if they have Costco's out there near Liverpool, but this is the sauce I use. And I served pasta and meatballs to my family every Sunday, when we were all together. And that's what by the way, I'm throwing a party at my house tomorrow. I'm making the meatballs in the crock pot. I'm using this sauce. So I just want to let her know. She asked about it. I was thinking of you, Julia. So now let me shuffle for you.
Are you a good cook, Ray?
I'm good at what I do. Yeah. I do pretty good with the crock pot because I like to slow cook things and then store it in the freezer.
Do you doctor up that sauce at all?
I do doctor it up. So I take the crock pot and then I pour some grappa or some other kind of liqueur on the bottom, but grappa is a good one. And then I put in some oregano and rosemary. I have some growing in my yard. Then I put in the meatballs. And then after the meatballs, I put in the tomato sauce. And then I put it on high for a couple hours. And I put it on low for a couple hours after that. And I think I mentioned it to you, and I know I mentioned it on Julia's show. I used to take the crock pot to school, and the kids would like talk about the meatballs all the time. When are you going to bring in the crock pot again? The meatballs became more famous than I became. Everyone was talking about my meatballs. So anyway,
that's cool.
That's why my friends are coming over. They're coming over for lots of reasons, but one of the attractions is the meatballs. I'd like to tell you about the other attraction at my house before I get going. I have an 8-foot rolling trailer access ladder. I don't have a trailer, but I got this ladder because it helps me get into the attic in my garage. But then when I have pool parties, I wheel it out to the pool, and we have like a big 8-foot drop into the pool. It's like a ladder lead.
That's cool. What kind of pool do you have? Do you have like an in-ground pool, Ray?
I do have an in-ground pool, yes.
Wow, that's cool. I guess out in California, you almost have to have a pool, right? Because the weather, it's hot out there, right?
I think it's a little bit like Florida. A lot of places out here where I am have pools. I know my block, I think there's only like 2 houses on my block that don't have pools. And there's like 12 other houses. They all have pools.
I've always wanted to come out to California and surf. Like I'm not in surfing condition right now. I'm really out of shape, but like I used to go surf like all over the East Coast here, like with my friend, like because we used to skateboard together, and then we were like storm chasers. Like wherever there'd be good waves on the East Coast, I would go. I've been all up and down the East Coast, from Boston to New York to Philly. Philly just that's land, but like Jersey, Virginia Beach, Delaware, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. But then I never made it out to the West Coast, and they say the West, like on the East Coast for the waves to be good, you almost need like the storm, because there's not real a place that breaks like solidly good all the time, but the Pacific Ocean is much more powerful. You guys have a much more powerful ocean. Like I don't know why that is, but like the surfing's like legendary out there, right?
So it depends on which beach you go to. I think you go down farther south, the water's a little bit warmer. But out where I am, there's a beach called Zuma, and the waves just kind of crash like a wall on the beach. It's pretty good for boogie boarding, and you have to wear a wetsuit. So I boogie board, but now I don't get down to the beach as much. But I'm going to say this right on video in front of the whole world. Rob, you come out to the West Coast. I got a spare room. You can spend the weekend in my place. We'll go boogie boarding in Zuma, and I'll make the meatballs in a crock pot for you.
Dude, could we check out Malibu? How they say Robert Stanley says there's some paranormal stuff going on in Malibu. Like there's probably when you go to, you probably just look at it and there's not much going on. But like I heard there's like interesting stuff going on in Malibu. That's another thing we can investigate, right? We could do a live podcast from Malibu.
Yes, Malibu's not far. So yeah, and I'm over here by Point Magoo and the Channel Islands. The Point Magoo Naval Base. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, even as far north as I am, all the way down to Malibu. Remember,
also I wanted to point out that Preston Dennett wrote a book about the USOs, the unidentified submerged objects that go off of Catalina Island in California. Right. And I believe Raynetta talked about the Marianas Trench. Isn't that near there? Like, and there's like alien bases under there. Or, I would guess that if there's USOs going off the Catalina Island, that there would be alien bases underneath California. But I also believe that they're underneath Virginia here on the East Coast, too, because when you look at the whole Nimitz Tic Tac incident,
Right.
That was people think that was like a government thing, but it's easy for people to say like, oh, that's government, I mean, but like really, like, that thing outmaneuvered anything that we had. It was moving like at the speed of like 20,000-30,000 miles an hour. I just don't think the government, I mean, I know we have some pretty advanced stuff. I know for God's sakes, we have the secret space program, but like, I just don't think that was something human. I think that Tic Tac was more, I don't know, someone will probably argue with me about it all day. It could be, but it was just like the whole drone thing. It was like everybody had an opinion on the drones. Me, I try to stay more open-minded, because I try not to form an opinion. But yeah, that was a lot there. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
I was waiting for a chance to tell you, I watched your shows, plural, with Gene Decode, and Gene Decode said that, there's a submarine base pretty much right underneath where I am, because, where I am, you can go up on a hill and you can look out and you can see the ocean, you can see the islands. And the underground underneath the continent here goes all the way to Area 51 in Nevada. And if I'm correct, and I remember correctly, it goes underneath the entire continent and the entire country of the United States, because it does go out to Virginia. So you could take a submarine and go under the United States, stop at Area 51, cut across, go to Virginia, according to the stories that we hear on our podcast. So yeah, there's plenty of weird stuff out here. I
just wanted to read this comment too, Ray, from Trey's. He grew up surfing on the East Coast too, and he knows what it's like. He says he says he taught himself on his uncle's board at Folly. I'm guessing he's referring to Folly Beach, South Carolina. I've been there, and he said the waves are only 2 feet. That's true. Unless you have a storm, they'll be pretty small. But then he said he stayed a night in Malibu on his bicycle trek. And then he says, did you stay safe in Jan, Ray?
So the fires did not affect me. But I've been in the middle of fires ever since I came to California in the 80s. I remember being at school, and we would see the fire on the mountainside around us, and the firefighters were doing their job trying to contain it until they finally decided, we need to send the kids home or whatever. Fortunately, I was safe. Thank God. But something I did do, we're going to get to you, Julia, I promise. I was talking to Psychic Liz Cross.
This happens. We do this, we got 2 hours to cover anyway. So,
Right. For this part, let me put on the regular camera real quick. So I was meeting with Psychic Liz Cross. It was part of that larger interview I did, from which I took the Project Karma video on the Star Card podcast. And one of the things I asked her was, because I went up on a hike. I usually hike at night because the sun takes it right out of me. I either hike at night or I hike early in the morning before the sun comes up. So I was up on my hill, and I saw 3 jumbo jets, and they were like flying in formation. There were like 3 of them. There were 2 here and 1 here, and they were going over my head. And one peeled off this way, like to go down the coast, and the other 2 went forward. And they were dragging a big cloud. And I'm not going to use any more vocabulary. All 3 of them were dragging these giant clouds. And so I asked Psychic Liz Cross about it. Did that have something to do with the fires? And then she was like probing the minds of the pilots and finding out what's going on. And it was challenging because like they didn't know or they didn't want to say. But I was suspecting that, some of that stuff that they were dumping might have led to the stuff that happened in January, like in the Pacific Palisades, that Trey might be mentioning there. But that stuff is happening all the time. My brother's out in Simi Valley, and he's like constantly taking pictures of what's all these weird things. You should ask your friend on the Typical Skeptic podcast about this stuff. And I did, and you said, yeah, check it out on Rumble, because we can't talk about that on certain platforms. So yeah. I was okay. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, that was great. Oh, so I'll go back to Anchor Haven here. I'll just put any one of her messages, and she's cool with it. Anchor Haven's, and by the way, guys, check out Anchor Haven's podcast. She's really trying to do a lot of interviews too, and and they're really good ones too. She's doing some really good work. So check out Julia Anchor Haven's podcast, and as well as Ray's podcast, the Star Card podcast. And you guys are both doing amazing stuff. I'm really happy for you guys.
Thank you, Rob. I have to agree with you there. Julia's podcast is pretty amazing. She has a huge menagerie of different kinds of guests, and she's doing some work with one of your guests also. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering that guy's name right now, but he's quite powerful in the astral world. I know you would know who I'm talking about. I'm sure Julia will.
David Purcell.
Yeah, that guy's something else. I'm really happy. I'm happy when anyone is awakened and they're getting information and they're cooperating with your spirit guides and their path is aligned with their spirit. That's awesome. You know, there's lots of cheer when that happens for everybody. Kind of like when I was in the classroom and some kids like, you know, doing a really good job and day after day they're bringing it, you know, it makes it all worthwhile. So we all got to keep it up. All right, let's see if there's something that the deck wants to tell Julia. Please show us what Julia needs to see. Please show us what Julia needs to hear. Julia did a reading for me also. It was a very nice reading. You know, she was crystal clear. She said things that other psychics had told me also about getting back to nature. So really had a good time on her show. She does a lovely podcast. All right, let's see what's going on with Julia. I also got to do readings for the people watching Julia's show. And that was a recorded show. But then when the show was broadcast, one of your watchers, if you said her name, I would know it. She wanted a reading, but, you know, Julia had to say, no, this is a recording. Ray's not here now. But I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, if, you know, if you go to Star Card Podcast or Tarot with Breakaway Ray, you find my email address and you can arrange a private reading. I'd be happy to spend some time or just send you a video. So anyway, the point I want to make is I think I still owe I still have to give away 3 free ones. So, you know, if you want to hear what I have to say with my cards, you know, you could book a free reading with me. First come, first serve. So let's see what the deck has to say about Julia, leading off with the Page of Cups. Wait a second. Is that who I think it is? Yeah. It's the Page of Cups. There's a pleasant surprise coming. Now, we did say a pleasant surprise, so remember that you said pleasant surprise, tarot cards. Okay. Oh, I think she recognizes this card. This card is, you know, a card that means something to she and I together. I think she remembers what I mean because I did a throw for her. So there's the Hierophant. And I'd be interested, I don't know, JC maybe wants to tell us where you are in the Apple Tunes rank for education while we're talking about the Hierophant and learning. Oh, wow. This came up with our reading also, I think. The Tower card. The world is coming down around us. A, the 8 of Pentacles. You're working hard, you're mastering skills, and you're thinking of the long term. Sweet. Knight of Pentacles. All right, these are going to form some nice paragraphs in a minute. Let's see what happens at the end of the show here. Hey, all right. Ace of Cups. Looks like it's overflowing. Looks like a gift from God, a gift from the heavens. Yay. To go along with your 8 of Pentacles, how about a 7 of Pentacles? Keep working at it. And and I know that Julia recognizes this card because this showed up in our reading together. It's the High Priestess, which resembles Julia herself. So if I had to very quickly take a quick look at these cards and the story that they tell with their pictures, it's a pleasant surprise with the learning that's going on around you, Julia. I know that even in your own life, you're learning a lot about your other alters and off-world lives and things like that. But at the same time, I know that Julia's got a podcast, and it tells me that the podcast is going to shake the world. It's going to make that which does not float everyone's boat and that which is not part of the universe's plan fall away, go back to source, because you're working really hard at it and you're working for the long term. You're not expecting an overnight success, but also it's a lot of fun doing your job, so it doesn't feel like work. What do they say? Like, if you love your work, you never have to work a day in your life because it's all fun. And then for the Knight of Pentacles, let me read exactly what it says on the card here. Hard work, productivity, routine, conservation, efficiency, and responsibility. All sounds like you working hard on your podcast. And then the Ace of Cups. According to the card, it indicates love, compassion, creativity, new feelings, spirituality, intuition, right? Intuition, new baby, proposal, marriage. All right. The 7 of Pentacles, long-term view, hard work, perseverance, diligence, sustainable results, investment. And Your own personal card, the High Priestess. Intuition again. Intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious, divine feminine, trust yourself, sensitivity, purity, high morals. Some of these cards we saw together when we were on her podcast, so I think they probably ring a bell. And anyway, it was a pleasure to read for you, Julia. And I hope you have a good July 4th. You know, I know they have a July 4th in England. They just don't celebrate it the way we do here.
Well, they got their independence a long time before that, right? I mean, they always were. I mean, like, I don't know what their history is completely. You know, like it's they're an interesting country. I mean, that you want to talk about, you know, what they did was they took over the whole world. You know, they had one of the biggest empires known to man. The British Empire was like, it outdid Alexander the Great's empire. It outdid, the Turkish. Maybe not the Turkish. I'm not sure, but I know. I mean, the British controlled all the whole way over to like India, Pakistan. You know what I mean? It was amazing. It was huge. You know.
I agree with you. I wasn't making eye contact. I was kind of making a joke there. You know, I used to ask the class, do they have a July 4th in England? And the kids would all say, no, they don't have a July 4th in England. You know, that doesn't make sense. And I would say, well, yeah, they have a July 4th. You know, they have the same calendar we do. They just don't celebrate it. But you're right. I think it dates all the way back to the War of the Roses in 1066, because that's when that royal family took over, according to the history books. And then when you learn about the other things that went on, like even that interview that Jane Hatch did with John Whitberg, you know, it colors in the rest of the background of the history that we don't know about. So anyway, I'll go back to the tarot cam. I think you had a second person lined up for me.
Yeah, we got Missy Hill, and thank you for donating, Missy. That was awesome. And let me see if she put a message in here. I don't know if she has a question or if you just kind of want to go for it. And let me pull up Missy's profile here if she's still in the audience. And so we'll read Missy now. And let me see. Oh, here she is. Yeah.
Hi, Missy. Brian Forrester and L.A. Marzulli researched that, Jason.
Oh, that was just like a random comment she had. I guess she was talking to Jason about something. I think maybe the elongated. Oh, I know it probably was about the elongated skulls, because that's something that both Brian Forrester and L.A. Marzulli both research. And I like L.A. Marzulli a lot. Like he's I've had him on my show a 3 times. Wow. He's a Christian. You know what I mean? But like for as far as like a Christian ufologist, he has like good information. So
I gotta say, I don't know either of those gentlemen, and I feel like I barely know Jason. I want to find out when Jason's birthday is, by the way. And then I'm looking at the picture of Missy, and if that's her home, it's a lovely home. But I'm under the impression that might be like an old state building or something like that.
She travels all over. She's amazing. Like she does, like she's like the paranormal historian. Like I love when she comes on my show. She always is in a different location. It's like it's amazing. You know what I mean? She really is like, I mean, like she always has great information. She's like boots on the ground, like grid worker, but also like she has her eyes to the scene of what's going on too, because she can update you with what's going on. Like she's going to update us on Helene tonight, like when she comes on. I know she's going to talk about that a little bit, and maybe what's going on with man, why can't I think the name? She said that was in Ireland, by the way.
It looks like an old Tartarian building, the way that staircase snakes around. I bet there's a dome above her. But
Missy also wants to know, I'll put the comment up on the screen. She says, where do you get that grappa? Is that grape moonshine, she says?
Oh, yeah. Grappa is spelled Grappa. Not exactly sure what it's derived from. I think it's like wine, maybe like a white wine that's been fermented into a liqueur. And you have to go to a special liquor shop. It's not like something they carry in the supermarket. But I know it's hard to come by. I learned about grappa from an Ernest Hemingway book. I think it was The Sun Also Rises. He kept on talking about boozing it up with grappa and what. Then he'd go get in a fist fight with F. Scott Fitzgerald or something. I forget how that book went. But anyway, yeah, grappa. I ran out of grappa last week, and so I put in a special single malt whiskey, and that went pretty good too. That was like a couple of weeks ago. I was making some St. Louis style ribs. All right. That was so much fun.
What's the St. Louis style rip? What's that mean?
So baby back ribs, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with baby back ribs. Those are delicious, but I think St. Louis style is a different cut. It's meatier. It's like they don't cut it small, so like it's as big as 2 fingers. It's basically like it's really thick. I don't know how else to explain. I'm not a butcher, so it's just a larger piece of meat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if I can do something for Missy. I love opening for you, Missy. I love being your opening act. Let's get a good story for you. Hey, the Knight of Pentacles is back. That's great. That's hard work. That sounds like you already. The King of Swords. All right. There's a lot of good qualities about this guy. We're going to read the card in a minute. Hey, and this one's so easy to read. It's the Sun card. And the Sun card says everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. All right. Next up, you have the Page of Wands. I will read the cards, and we'll get a better idea of what they're trying to say here. Oh, yeah. It's our friend, the Knight of Wands. And if we look very carefully in the Knight of Wands card, Rob and I discovered this last time, those are the Egyptian pyramids back there. And
that's amazing.
How about another, here's a go, Page of Swords. So we got some really meaty cards here. I'm gonna have to look at these cards and read them to you, but let's find out what the last paragraph has to say. How about another page, the Page of Pentacles? So you got a page here, you got a page there, you got a page here. 3 pages, that's 3 of a kind. We have the Five of Swords, but I don't think, the Five of Swords indicates conflict and bullying and abuse, arguing, and something tells me that, number one, Missy's not putting up with it, and she's not afraid of it, okay? She speaks her mind. She speaks the truth. The Nine of Swords indicates some kind of anxiety or some kind of a sleepless night. Oh, yay. But then there's the Nine of Pentacles, and she says, what is that expression? Yeah, the fruits of your labor. So at the very end, it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So let me get my magnifying glass. Let's see if I can. All right, so on these 3, I'll have to read from the card first. The Knight of Pentacles. Hard work, productivity, routine, conservation, efficiency, responsibility. The King of Swords, head over heart, disciplined, truthful, honest, mental clarity, authority. This is why they're having you on the show tonight, Missy, because you're an authority. You have mental clarity. You're going to tell us what we need to know for real, the truth. And then everything's going to be all right with the Sun card, positivity, pleasure, happiness, vitality, fun, joy, warmth, celebration. Those all sound like words to describe your appearances on Rob's show, by the way. Positivity, pleasure, happiness, vitality, fun, and joy. I love watching you on the show. Warmth, celebration, success, rebirth, and all is well. All right, there's your first paragraph. You're working really hard, bringing the truth, and all is going to be well. It's for a good thing. You're doing a good thing. Next up, the Page of Wands. Inspiration, ideas, discovery, limitless potential, free spirit, exploration, excitement, freedom. I hear that exploration part. And then the Knight of Wands, energy, passionate, inspired action, adventure, fearless, impulsiveness. You're going on exploring adventures, according to Rob. You report from a new location all the time. And with the Page of Swords, you share new ideas, your thirst for knowledge, curiosity, new ways of thinking, and mental energy. Okay. Well, those 2 paragraphs sounded pretty good. Here's the last bit here. Page of Pentacles, manifestation, financial opportunity, skill development, ambition, desire, diligence. So you're manifesting something in spite of or because of the Five of Swords, conflict, disagreements, competition, defeat, winning at all costs, sneakiness, bullies, theft. Well, considering the things that you expose, Missy, obviously some people are going to disagree and not want you to do it, but you might even be causing them some anxiety, and I hope it doesn't make you nervous at all. It shouldn't, because you've got all the power. You're the King of Swords way up here. You've got the truth. You've got the truth on your side. The Nine of Swords says anxiety, worry, fear, depression, nightmares, insomnia, hopelessness, trauma, and despair. Or if it really does apply to you and not to your foes, well, there's still deep-seated fears and secrets. So this could just be about revealing secrets that these guys didn't want out. And then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, which is you're sharing your knowledge. And, we all see your point of view. I hope that was a good reading. I had fun doing it. And thank you very much, Missy. Break a leg later when I leave and you enter. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great show.
She might stop in early. She told me she might stop in at like 8:45 because she said she wants to meet you. So yeah.
That's wonderful. I can't wait. All right, great.
Yeah. So okay, let's see here. Let's see if anybody else wants a reading. So does anybody else want a reading while we're I'm looking through the chat to see if anybody responded. We have people watching. It's just like, the Andromedan wants a reading,
Okay.
Andromedan.
All right. Good to see you again, Andromedan. All right. I think I've read for the Andromedan before. If he wants another one, I must be doing a good job. So thank you very much.
Matthew Morton's in the chat. Hey, Matthew, good to see you, bro.
Right.
And that's who taught Ray, So you guys, whenever you guys hear that Matthew has a tarot class coming up, take it for sure because it's you can really get good information. Because look at Ray's doing. Ray, you're flying. I mean, you're flying high with this. You're doing really good. I know you and Matthew said he was impressed with the way you're reading and stuff like that.
I'm so grateful, Rob, when you say that because it means a lot. You have hundreds of people on your show who throw tarot, and you're right. Matthew Morton is a terrific teacher. The videos he gives you, they really help out a lot. And he's obviously, very experienced and very knowledgeable. So happy 4th of July to you, Matthew. I think he used to be a San Diego native, and I'm going down there next.
He was. Yeah.
Okay, but this is for the Andromedan. All right. Please show us what the Andromedan needs to see.
Yeah, three. While we're shuffling, 3 really interesting guests came out of that area, or of the California area. Well, 4. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more, but just off the top of my head, Robert Stanley was from Malibu. You're from California. Robert Bitto from Mexico Unexplained is from, I think, from the San Diego area, and Matthew's from the San Diego. Or maybe I can't remember where Robert Bitto's from, but he's from California as well. So and that's 4 of the most interesting guests that come on my show. You know what I mean? You guys, those 4, between you guys, it's yeah.
California's bringing it. All right. I was thinking
Shawn David Morton was from California as well too. That's really good. Really good.
Shawn David Morton.
I can't believe we're getting Shawn David Morton. I love Shawn David Morton, man. I miss that guy. I really do. Because when we lost Shawn David Morton, we lost a UFO library. You know what I mean? He knew about all the old Bob Lazar, John Lear stuff, but then he knew about new MyLabs and reptilians, and he wrote the Sands of Time book, which I would recommend everybody get, and it supports his wife Melissa Morton. My light went out. Hold on one second, but it supports his wife Melissa Morton, and those are amazing books, the Sands of Time. And Shawn, I mean, you guys can even watch my. I did a 4-hour tribute that I did to Shawn David Morton. It's 3 of the interviews that we did together. I put them all together and put them into a tribute. It's on here and it's on Rumble. That's how highly I thought of Shawn David Morton. I really thought that guy was great. He was just an amazing researcher.
You did us all a favor, and you did Shawn David Morton a favor by reposting all that. You're right. All of that would be lost, except that you have it on videotape. So. He back in the day, he gave Art Bell his Rolodex. So Art Bell, he said Art Bell was doing political radio before he got into paranormal. And
one day he like interviewed like John Lear or something. This is from what Shawn told me. And then all of a sudden, like Art wanted to start interviewing more people in the paranormal and stuff. So Sean David Morton was he was already managing Strange Universe Radio, which was almost like a competitor to Coast AM, but he still gave Art Bell his Rolodex, like, you know, and he gave him all the names in it, and that's how Art Bell got a lot of his guests.
That's an incredible story, and I'm old enough to know what a Rolodex is. That's a great story.
Oh my God, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, me too. I remember having a Rolodex too. You know, I don't think I ever had a Rolodex, but I had a lot of notebooks. You know.
Yeah. All right.
That's funny. A Rolodex. Nobody has a Rolodex anymore, right? It's like fax machines and Rolodexes and pagers.
Yeah,
you know.
Same with videotapes. I mean, we call it videotape. It's all digital, and you know, you don't have a VCR anymore anyway. Technology changed so quickly just in your lifetime, and changed like crazy.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's why I think it had to be influenced by aliens. But you know what I was thinking? Like, whoever had a Betamax? Remember, there was VHS, but then there was like Betamax. Like, I don't think anybody had that. You know?
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit older than you, and I caught the tail end of the Betamax. I mean, I was there when Betamax came out, and then when the real thing was ready, you know, the Betamax went by the wayside. You're right, but and Radio Shack died, and anyway.
Dude, Radio Shack was hilarious. Like, you know, like, you know, they always had the weirdest motherfuckers working in. Oh, I didn't mean to swear. I see, when I get around you, I feel like I'm around one of my friends, but they always had the weirdest dudes working in Radio Shack. That's why I started laughing. Like, so I just remember, or at least the one that was by my house. It was like some really strange cats that like applied for jobs there, you know, for some reason. I don't know why.
Well. Anyway, it's good to reminisce with you, Rob. We have a lot in common. Anyway, I don't want to leave the Andromedan hanging here. I bet he's been looking at these cards, wondering what's going to happen. So let's see the first paragraph for the Andromedan. Hey, I like this card. It's the Ace of Cups. You can see it's overflowing with good stuff, whatever that is. Next up, we just saw this guy, the Five of Swords. You know, bullying. Someone's got to be better than you. The guy on the basketball court has to be the best player. Okay, but here's the Six of Wands, which indicates public recognition. You know, there's something that's been accomplished and everybody recognizes it. So it kind of looks like, you know, you won here. I don't know if you were playing pickleball and you won or something. It looks like you won. You started off, you know, you had the gift, you met the obstacle, and now you're recognized for winning. Let's move on to the second paragraph. All right, it's the Knight of Cups. More cups for you. I think the Knight of Cups is the Knight in shining armor. Let me check. I am right. It's the Knight in shining armor. So, you know, this could be a Knight in shining armor in your life, Andromedan, or I like to think sometimes people are their own Knights in shining armor. They pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Let's see how this paragraph plays out. Hey, it's the Six of Cups, which indicates nostalgia, happy memories, even family. I wonder if we saw this card last time, Andromedan. And then, yay, I think we saw this one too, the Magician. So, wow, you know, this seems like a manifestation thing. I hope that Andromedan's not getting bored with me always talking about manifestation with him. You know, you're your own Knight in shining armor. And as long as you maintain positive, happy thoughts, you know, you're going to make the magic happen, whatever you're looking for. I know you've had some challenges in your life that I would not understand, much greater than anything I could ever imagine. But, you know, that was yesterday. And today you could be your own Knight in shining armor. Use what you know about manifestation. Hold on to that happiness and make the magic happen. Let's see how the last paragraph works. Oh, the Six of Pentacles reminds us about giving and taking. Giving and taking. And this is another one of my personal favorites. This is the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands says, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So, you know, if you always prepare like you're waiting for someone to call you up to do something, you know, you'll be better prepared. You won't be surprised. You'll have it all ready to go. If I could just show you one quick example of what I mean by that, you know, I like to come on Rob's show all the time, and everyone knows I like to be prepared. So just in case Rob asks, I've got all my favorite jokes here, you know, in case there was time. I'm prepared. If the opportunity arises, I can make people laugh with some old jokes I wrote, including, from a year ago, I did my impression of C-3PO and I told my dog man jokes. So whatever it is you're working on, just keep working on it, because if it's your soul's path and you're doing a good job, someone's going to be looking for it. Hey, maybe it's going to be Julia Anchorhaven, because here's the high priestess, and that indicates magic and subconscious. I'm going to go through and read some of these cards, but I kind of like this one. You're given gifts from God, and despite the hassles on Earth, you still can be a champion. In fact, you're here to win. You're here to win and to play, and you're here to walk away from stuff that doesn't concern you. It's not important anymore. Okay, and then this guy is the knight in shining armor. Yeah. And if you focus on positivity, let's read this card. Familiarity, happy memories, reminiscing, childhood memories, innocence, joy, and nostalgia. I would say, the joy, the happy memories, the familiarity, those familiar happy feelings, and that's what's going to lead to the magic. Action, creation, manifestation, power, self-confidence, clarity, willpower, skill, and creativity. And then to wrap it up, there's going to be giving and taking, sharing wealth, generosity, and charity. Three of Wands says preparation, progress, foresight, enterprise, expansion, and overseas opportunities. And the High Priestess says intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious, divine feminine, trust yourself, sensitivity, purity, and high morals. So as you move forward to create your magic, as we discussed here, there's going to be giving and taking with other humans on Earth. And as long as you're prepared, you're going to meet the right people. I hope that was helpful. Rob, if you want to join in and make any comments on the cards, I know you have some experience with tarot also. Otherwise, I'm very happy to read for the Andromedan every time. I hope you have a good 4th of July, Andromedan.
Yeah, I don't have anything yet tonight. I haven't been feeling comfortable lately. I don't know. I'm not ready yet, but I will soon. I don't know what it is. Like I want to, but I don't know, Ray. Okay. So what it is like, I'm really trying to tap into my psychic abilities, and I've always had the ability to like read people, right? So like when I meet someone in person and I look at them, I can read their whole. I can feel like what they're feeling emotionally. I can maybe tell some things about them. So I'm good in that way. But like when I try to read someone online, I just get like blocked, for some reason. I don't know what it is, but like if I see someone in person, I'm like really intuitive about reading into their their energy, for whatever. So I just got to figure out like how to do that, or how to tap into it. I don't know.
So I came up with this comparison. If you're familiar with the Marvel movies, the character Thor, and Thor had one adventure where his evil sister, she broke his hammer, and he went and complained to his dad, who was Odin. And Odin said, what are you, the god of hammers? No, you're the god of thunder. The hammer was just a tool for you to focus your powers. And I feel like that's what the tarot cards are doing for me right now, because when I ask the tarot cards, I'm only focusing on what the question is, and that kind of helps. And then maybe someday I'll progress to the people I see on your show and on other podcasts who they could just channel out right. They just get right into the mindset, and they can already listen to their inner voice. So I got a long way to go. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. When you meet somebody, I feel like that might be something else we also have in common. I know that when I was in the classroom, I had to figure out within a couple of seconds what was going on with each student so I could help them the best way.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that was like, yeah, I see what you, so you were able to read into your students pretty well then.
I'm going to say yes. I mean, I'm going to give myself credit for 97% or better. I mean, I wasn't perfect. But I think I have more than 90% of my former students would agree with that. Anyway, who else it reminds me of is Olivia James. I remember that she mentioned something about when she was on Mars. She was specifically trained, when she went on her missions or whatever. I guess this is before she was on Mars, where she would have to walk into a room and she would have to memorize the whole thing and remember every single thing, and also interpret the behaviors of all the people in the room, like in an instant, because she had to act as soon as she got there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
That's an important skill. And I bet it's just natural for you. And you've practiced it some 2,000 times here on your show. Do we have someone you want to read, or should I pull out my other gimmick?
We have one person, but do you want to do your gimmick first, because we have some time, like,
Sure.
and then we'll do your gimmick, and then we'll do Puck Elf, because he's next, and then
Yeah. Okay, sure. Okay, so I came up with this idea. Well, I didn't come up with the idea, but I know that people are talking about, there's disclosure that we're aiming for here on Earth, and Rob's channel is part of that. But there's also disclosure going on out there. For example, in my book called The Convoluted Autobiography, I write about a teacher on Centaurian, planet Centaurian, which is in the Alpha Centauri system, which is the next nearest star system to us. It's 4-point-something light years away. And he's on that planet, and his classroom, his students ask him about planet Earth. And the first time we see the scene, he talks about, Earth was destroyed in the 1950s during a cobalt bomb attack from the people that were known as the Allies. That would include us in the United States. According to the story, the people in the United States said, we lost the war to Germany, but they're still down there in Antarctica. And if we've got this bomb called the cobalt bomb and we drop it on Antarctica, it's the end of the German show. The Antarctic German power reign is over. But the problem was that they dropped the cobalt bomb, and there's no way to stop the chain reaction. And it obliterated the planet, more or less. And so it made Earth uninhabitable. That's the first time we see the scene. Then after the teacher, his name is Gerald, after he is sent back in time as a punishment, he actually turns around, he changes reality on that planet, and he makes it better. So the second time we see the scene, he actually discusses how we just found out that Earth was a prison planet, and that there's actually 10 billion people there, and that old Germany is still there. So there's still disclosure going on. My example is fictional, but there are other stories of other people out there who are podcasters, and they're trying to wake up everybody, because every planet has an AI where they're controlling all the minds of the people on that planet. So it's hard to get information. So what I thought I would do is I would compare disclosure here on Earth on July 4th, 2025, with what's going on out there. And it'd be another one of those things where if we can read the story about what's happening here and it makes sense to us, we can have an idea of what's going on out there. So that's how I'd like to play this one. I hope I made sense.
Yeah, no, that made a lot of sense. Yeah.
So please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear about disclosure here today and also out there. Please show us what we need to see. Please tell us what we need to hear about disclosure here on Earth's surface today and also out there. Please tell us what we need to know. Please show us what we need to see about disclosure. Let's see what happens. Ooh, 2. Hey, Rob, I got the window open and I can smell somebody barbecuing nearby. That's awesome.
Wow. That's cool. But so it's what? It's 5 o'clock there in California, right? It's not that late.
That's right.
So it's like things are winding down here in Pittsburgh. It's 8 p.m. So everybody I think already barbecued already here, and that's why I always do my shows at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern, because I'm on the East Coast, and it's I feel like this is prime time for the East Coast. So to me it makes sense, but then it's hard for the people who live. But then I always kind of work around what I do, and this is for other people who are podcasting. You'll find out that you have to work around your guest schedules, especially if you want to get a lot of interviews. You might have to do an interview at midnight because, they're in Australia and it's a different time. That's why my schedule is kind of wonky sometimes, because it's because I'm doing it with people from other countries and, yeah. So
that's you're a rock star, Rob. That is pretty cool. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, if you went to your previous self 20 years ago in a dream and you said, hey, guess what? In about 20 years, you're going to be talking to people from all over the planet about the secret space program. You from 20 years ago, you would say, no way. I can't even believe that. That's amazing. But
I would have never thought. I was a total mess up. You know what I mean? I mean, I was successful in the mortgage industry, but then I was never, I was always kind of like, I kind of got into trouble and stuff. And I really had to straighten out my life and,
yes. It looks like you did straighten out your life. And, just from where I'm sitting, you've done a heroic thing, the way you labor and you put in 100 shows a month and 3 shows a day. That's real discipline. I love a good work ethic. I can't help it. That's why I admire you, and I admire Michelle Gibson and a lot of the other hardworking people that come on your podcast. I like that guy Daniel over at the St. Olga channel. I know that guy works hard. Anyway, let's see what's going on with disclosure. First of all, here on Earth, the top row. All right, the Knight of Swords. They're encouraging us to charge. The 5 of Swords again. Yeah, there's some bullying going on. We're not supposed to be talking about stuff. We're not even supposed to talk about planet Pluto anymore. But the 3 of Wands says, if we're prepared, we should have no problem. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. You and I, let's just take you, for example, 2,000 shows in your back, 2,000 shows in your back pocket. Okay. When it comes time to meet the aliens, who's the first guy they're going to talk to? Let's talk to Rob. At least he'll understand what we're trying to say. 4 of Pentacles tells us to be frugal and pinch our pennies, and then, and then finally Judgment. And Judgment is a card, if I'm remembering this correctly, where you're swapping out an energy that doesn't serve anymore for a new energy. And to me, this sounds like disclosure here on Earth. We're being encouraged to move forward despite the obstacles that are presented to us. We are encouraged to keep on going because we're prepared, and eventually we're the ones who are going to have to step forward and guide people. It's not going to be the news anchors at CNN or Fox or MSNBC. And in the meantime, we all got to mind our finances and pinch our pennies. We do have a long road to go, but look at the reward. We're going to switch out this system that we're in right now, and it's probably going to be for a better system. I mean, that's really what this card means. You're swapping out an energy that doesn't serve for one that will serve. So from my estimation, this tells us what we should be doing or what we are doing here on Earth. I like the way that story plays out. Now, let's see what the fellows are doing off planet. This is going to be fun. All right. Starting off with the 5 of Cups. So wow. There's 5 of Cups. It indicates disappointment, but all 5 cups are there, by the way. He's just disappointed. Then there's the 2 of Pentacles, which says you can have it all. You have multiple priorities, but you can have it all. That was a Matthew Morning lesson. Yay. Ace of Swords. They're trying to use their words as precisely as possible, like we are here, to cut away all the BS and tell us what's really going on. I'm talking about the people out there doing disclosure also. Hey, I wonder who else is out there. How about the High Priestess? We got some support from a High Priestess out there. Or maybe she's down here, huh, Julia? And then the King of Wands. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read these cards down here. I want to say thank you to the tarot deck because I feel like they're making the story pretty easy for me to read here. The 5 of Cups. Regret, failure, disappointment, pessimism, loss, and grief. That might be how the disclosure people out there feel right now, but they can have it all. And that's why they're not giving up. They have multiple priorities. They have time management, adaptability, and they're balancing decisions. Maybe they can't get a message to us directly like Gosha over at Cosmic Agency. They can't contact all of us directly right now, but they're going to stand by and get there. Meanwhile, their podcasts or what have you, their messages out there are cutting to the quick. They're working as hard as we are to cut away stuff that doesn't make sense. And when I say that, I just keep thinking about all the old world Tartarian buildings all over the world, and how we listen to the story about how they got built by men with chisels and hammers with horsepower. Amazing. You couldn't 3D print those buildings. You know, that's how amazing those buildings are. And then the high priestess, intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious, divine feminine, trust yourself, sensitivity, high morals. They're fighting for the same stuff we're fighting for. And the Knight of Wands, look at that. The first message was the Knight of Swords, charge. And then, you know what? We got the same message at the end too. Keep on, or they got the same message at the end too. Keep going out there. Energy, passionate, inspired action, adventure, fearless, impulsiveness. They're going full bore like they're riding a sports car through the canyon just as much as we are. Well, I enjoyed reading that. I hope it was entertaining for someone else as well. Thank you very much.
That was amazing, Ray. Something happened with my camera. Let me see here. Oh, there we go. I'm back. I was going to say, Puck Elf would like a reading, and then I got to take a leak real quick. Okay. And then, so I'm actually going to go right back off camera, and then I'll be right back. But yeah, Puck Elf, I'll put him up right here on the screen, and then I'll be right back. And
okay.
Yeah,
no problem. Hello, Puck Elf. It's good to see you again. I'm so thankful to you. Almost every time I come on the show, you ask for a reading. I really appreciate the practice. I hope that you know, at the least that my readings are entertaining. I hope that they impart some kind of wisdom that's helpful to you. So I'm reading your comment. I'm looking at your cool picture. Please show us what Puck Elf needs to know about relating to van life living situations. Please tell us what Puck Elf needs to hear in a fun way. Please show us what Puck Elf needs to know in a fun way. Please tell us what Puck Elf needs to know in a fun way. Van life. I know I'm not discussing anything with Rob right now. I've been imagining the van life myself. The only thing I can't figure out is, where do you get water all the time? Where is the water? And otherwise, it looks totally cool. I mean, I guess you have to plan, you know, every couple of days or every couple of weeks, you got to stop off someplace to get water. But it sounds like there's a lot of freedom, but it also sounds like it can be challenging. But I think life on Earth is challenging. It doesn't sound like I have challenges sometimes, but that's because I'm on camera. Life can be challenging for everybody, even someone in my situation. But we're not here for challenges. We're here to give information to Puck Elf. Life in a van. Fun, easy, helpful message for Puck Elf, please. This card wanted to come out.
right. You know, yeah. I heard you talk about van life. You know, that's interesting while you're dealing out this card. You know, I was thinking about that too, where people get water. And then, you know, what's interesting is like, you can always go to findaspring.com and get, you know, free water from a spring. But like the thing is, though, is a lot of people think that, you know, some of those are polluted nowadays because of everything that's going on, you know. So it's like, I bet, and then you get into like testing your water and stuff like that. But I guess like, you know, if you would need water for a toilet, you could use it, or, you know, I mean, but it might be good. Like if anybody knows out there in the audience, are the springs still clear? Like, do we know, or is the spring water still clear, or is it contaminated, or what do you guys think about that? Let us know what you think in the audience about the springs, especially in the United States. Like, are the springs able to be drank out of? Yeah. Jason says, get one of those 4-way keys the parks use for water taps. Help yourself at night. That's a good one. Paco says, ordered an instant gas hot water system for his car van. Yay. Thanks. That's awesome, Puck Elf. I hope it works out for you, dude.
Yeah, right on. All right. Well, I hope we got a good story here for Puck Elf. Here I go. All right. Nowhere to go but up. 5 of Cups. The disappointment card again. Yay. The 9 of Pentacles. The fruits of your labor. The 6 of Pentacles. Giving and taking. The King of Cups. King of Cups, let me read that. Emotionally balanced, compassion, diplomatic, control, balance, supportive leader, tolerance, empathic. I think basically this represents someone who's, even keel, doesn't get all excited. Something good or bad can happen, and we're not going to get too excited either way. And I would say, just like looking at this first paragraph, maybe not everything. Maybe it's like that book by Charles Dickens, Great Expectations. It's not everything we thought it was going to be, but we're living off of the fruits of our labor. This is great. We worked hard for this opportunity. There is some giving and taking involved, and as long as you remain emotionally balanced, I imagine it's much easier to give and take with people. Anyway, let's move on to the second paragraph. Hey, the Three of Cups. These people are celebrating. They're all having a good time. I bet there's a lot of fun in van life. I bet there is. You meet new friends all the time. And then the Seven of Wands, he's got some challenges, but he does have the upper ground, right? If we're talking about van life, I'm using my imagination here. You move into a campground, you meet some new friends, you have a good time, and then nevertheless, no matter what happens, even if it doesn't go well, you still have the upper ground. You got your van. You can just go drive somewhere else, go find somewhere else nice to go. Let's see what the last paragraph looks like. Here's the Page of Swords again. All right, the Seven of Cups indicates that there's a lot of variety, lots to choose from. There's again in this card a lot tonight too. The Three of Wands, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. And then finally, I'm happy to say the Ten of Pentacles. So I will get to these cards in a minute, but since we're talking about van life, I imagine I'd be in the same boat. I buy a van with the fruits of my labor. I saved up my money, and I'm thinking it's going to be great. But just like anything, just like going to prom, there's going to be a disappointment. I don't know if Puck Elf went to prom or homecoming or anything. You thought it was going to be so cool when you were 17 or whatever, and you got there and it was like, oh, it's just another school event. But when you're on the road,
he's from Australia, I think. I'm not sure how they do prom there. But I know he's from Australia. I know that. Like, maybe you could tell us, like, what do you think? That'd be interesting. Like, do they still do prom there, or like, I wonder what they do. Like,
that's a good question. I wouldn't know. I can't imagine you have high schoolers and they don't go to dances no matter where you are. I think that's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good point, right?
But so anyway, we left off. You're having a good time meeting people. If something doesn't work out, you just drive away. In the meantime, you're still giving and receiving with people. You're still interacting with them. They might be part of your family, part of your convoy for a long time, or they could be part of your family for like an hour and you just had lunch with them, but they're part of your family. You're giving and taking with them. And, you're the emotionally balanced person. They look up to you. They think that you're diplomatic. You seem to have experience. You know what's going on. Finally, I'm going to have to get the magnifying glass for this. The Page of Swords, new ideas, thirst for knowledge, new ways of communicating, restless. So, this sounds like someone who wants to explore. And look at how excited that page is. He's got the sword. He's wielding it. He's looking around. The wind is blowing. This looks very adventurous. And then when it comes to adventures, you got a lot of them. Seven of Cups. There's opportunities. There's choices. There's searching for purpose and daydreaming. There's also wishful thinking and illusion. And so we all have to use discernment and pick out the best choices for us. It's kind of like when you go to an amusement park and we only have so much time. Which rides are we going to go on? The Three of Wands, preparation, progress, foresight, enterprise, overseas opportunities. Yeah, if you're going to make a trip in a van, you always got to be prepared. Make sure you have enough fuel and water and all that. And then and dump out the cartridge toilet. And then finally, the big picture is, by the way, I'm very happy that we finished on this card today, Puck Elf. This is a nice card to finish with. Ten of Pentacles, wealth, financial security, family, long-term success. I'm going to repeat that, long-term success and contribution. So, yeah, I'm looking at this card and I see that there's people and animals and they're all congregating. There's pentacles everywhere. It feels like a very rich life. I hope this was entertaining, Puck Elf, and it was a pleasure to read for you. And I want to wish you a happy 4th of July in Australia, being that today is the 4th of July. but it means something different for us here in the United States.
You listen to what he said. He said this is you can see this on the screen. He says he's basically the camp elf. He says he kicks the goblins out of people's fuse boxes. He says he fixed an unfixable chap's powers riveter for someone yesterday for $3. That's cool. It's cool. You're learning how to do that. You'll have those skills for the rest of your life, Puck Elf. You know what I mean? It's amazing. I know my friend Michelle. Black Feather in the Wind does van life too, and she says it can be challenging. And she's a woman that is doing it on her own, and she has animals and stuff. So it's I can't even imagine what people like. But you know what? I bet it's nice not to pay rent every month. I would love that. You got to pay gas. You have more gas, for your vehicle, but shit, man, rent's anywhere from $800 to $1,000. Some people pay $1,600. Rent's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And that's why Michelle Black Feather in the Wind said a lot of people in New York are doing it. She said because the rent there got outrageous. She said some places are for a studio or something are $3,000 or something. It's insane. It's insane in New York City. Everything in New York is
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. But I was raised. Well, we were fortunate, obviously, that I was part of a family where we could afford a mortgage, for example. So we always thought to ourselves, never rent, but rent to people. So I had grandparents. They had an apartment building. They had 3 other apartments, and they lived in one. And so, because when you pay rent, it's money you're saying goodbye to. If you're paying $2,000 or $3,000 a month, you might as well make it a down payment on a house, So, you have a place. But now we're talking about real estate. I
was in the real estate game I wasn't a realtor. I was a mortgage broker. You know what I mean? So I did a lot of people's investment properties and stuff like that.
Right? Yeah, you know what that stuff's about. That's right.
Yeah, it's a smart. I'll tell you guys now. Anybody who's coming up in the world, and you have some extra money, real estate investing is one of the smartest moves you can do. It can also be costly because you have a house and you're renting it out to someone that has to meet up to standards, and you don't want to be a slumlord or something like that. You know what I mean? You want to, but still, you have that property, and property. I learned this from mortgages. Properties increase in value, vehicles decrease in value. So properties appreciate, vehicles depreciate, no matter what. I mean, unless you have a super dope old school vehicle that's worth money, or something rare, or something that's kitted out or something like that. You know what I mean? Every average run of the mill car is going to depreciate.
You're 1,000% correct about that. 1,000% correct. Absolutely. And people who are young, people half your age, they have the advantage. If they're on the fence of, should I get a property? Should I actually get a mortgage? If the interest rates are right, I might suggest go for it because, if you get a house while you're young in your 20s, who knows what happens 10 years from now? You might be able to rent that out and get another place. Yeah. And then you pay one place where a renter is paying your mortgage on your other place. But that could be pie in the sky because I had a lot of luck. I'm 3 of Wands. I was prepared, but I had a lot of luck and I had a lot of help to get where I am. I feel like Nat King Cole in Beverly Hills. I don't know if you know the story. Nat King Cole is a great singer from the 20th century. He was one of the first people to move to Beverly Hills, and he was African American. And I believe they caught him on the news or in a newspaper article saying something like, yeah, it's great to live in Beverly Hills, but I know it can be taken away from me anytime, just because he was a black guy, they could make something happen. But that can happen to anybody. You don't have to be black to have some terrible thing happen, an accident, an illness, take you right out of your financial game. You gotta put money away, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta save for a rainy day. That's what my grandparents always said, the ones that lived in, through the Depression. Save for a rainy day. Thank God I did, or I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Is there someone else who wants a reading, Rob?
We got Missy coming on in 10 minutes. So, so Missy, if you're still watching, if you want to come on at about 8:45, you and Ray could talk for a little bit before Ray goes off, and then I will transition to the interview with Missy. And hey, I just want to say happy 4th of July to my sister, Indigo Angel, is in the audience. I love Indy.
Hey.
And you guys, I posted this on my community wall. You guys got to go check out the video Indy did today on Love Island. You know, it's called Love Island is actually an MK Ultra. You know, the show Love Island, and she broke it down and she did a beautiful job. It's amazing. You know, it's all about like, you know, like the way she talked about it. It's like, you know, shaming rituals and forced breeder programs. And like, she's amazing. That girl is like, you know, she's levels above other people as far as intelligence goes. Like, that's why, you know, I always love having her on my show. She's an amazing person. Yeah. So if you're watching, Indy, you know, happy 4th of July. And yeah.
To her for sure. You know, because you talked about that island thing, I caught some other news about the Epstein Island. You know, I guess they were discussing the Epstein Island, and they said, you know, just flying over it, why would all these millionaires and billionaires even go to this island? There's no like, what do you call, accommodations for people like that. The suggestion that they were making was there's a bunch of stuff underneath the island, which is pretty much true about everywhere on Earth. There's a bunch of stuff underneath that we don't see.
That's what Gene Decode says. You know, Gene Decode, and supposedly there's actual huge cities underground. Yes. You know, there's actual huge cities underground, and connecting them, there's like maglite trains or whatever. Maglev, is that how you say it? However you say it, maglev. You know, there's trains that go underneath, and like, you know, and no one's privy to this. And also, I heard there's alien civilizations in Inner Earth too that like the Inner Earth humans are mixing with. You know, like, so like there's reptilians down there, gray aliens. You know, like it's like you know, it's I want to go to Inner Earth. I really do. I want to go to Inner Earth, and I want to see what it's all about. You know what I mean? Like, I want my ticket to Inner Earth. You know, like I want to see what's going on down there. You know, like, and I want to see if they have it a lot better. Now, I wonder. You know, like there was a Native American elder that came on Art Bell one time, and he said that it's exactly like down there, like it is up here. Like they have oceans, they have lakes, like supposedly even. That they have, so they have bodies of water down there and like huge caverns and stuff like that. You know, like it's supposedly it's amazing. You know, so I don't know.
Right. Well, there's so much to talk about, and unfortunately, we would just be speculating because you know we don't have the proof that's being kept from us. But I remember, I believe John Whitberg has spoken about Inner Earth, and I also believe Apollonie Mandillion has. And
yeah, good. I like that. I tried getting her on my show. I got to get her on again. I mean, I got to try to get her on again. Yeah, she's I had trouble booking her, you know, but it wasn't like she wasn't mean or anything like that. It's just like, you know, like you go to book someone and like you know, like conversation just falls out. You know, like that happens with a lot of people. You know, but like I'm really gonna try to get her back on again, or not back on, but I'm gonna try to get her on for the first time because I like her information a lot. You know,
that would be another great guest. You know, it's. I have a lot of respect for Apollonie Mandillion. I just feel like, you know, nobody in this community, or is really anybody until they've stopped on your show. Kind of like, you know, the Super Bowl always goes through Steel Town, Rob. So, you know, people have to come on your show if they're going to disclose. I bet Apollonie will come on your show someday. Have you had Ileana, the Star Traveler, on your show?
No, I got to get her too. I got to get her. I haven't had her on yet either. You know, and Drago Reed speaks really highly of her. You know, he likes her information a lot. I do too. You know, she's I think I had her scheduled and it fell through or something. But yeah, I do have one new secret space person coming on later this month. I have after I get back from the conference, I'll have Veronica Bartolini coming on, who does Codebreaker Talk. You know, so yeah.
I remember that name somewhere. I'm not surprised, Rob. Like I say, everyone comes on your show. That's gonna be cool, dude.
Yeah. I guess no more readings, but I guess we could just get kind of BS there the last couple of minutes before Missy comes on. You know, is there anything else you want to cover, Ray, or anything that's kind of on your mind?
Yeah. Let me check my notes. Oh, so actually, Rob, I was talking about this off air with Julia Ankerhaven. I wanted to do some readers theater, and you know, it's not like real theater where you're on a stage. It would be like people at a table reading scripts, but you know, being passionate and trying to act like the characters would, even though there's no motion or blocking or things like that. To give you a little bit of history about me, I've been writing plays my whole life. Even when I was in elementary school, I was writing plays for the talent show. And then when I became a teacher, Of course, I wrote plays for my kids to put on, and we all had a good time putting on the shows. I wrote 2 big plays. One was called Polo Bids Farewell to Con. It was a way for me to combine 5th grade social studies about U.S. history with ancient. Oh, here comes Missy. So you know what? We could talk about Reader's Theater some other time. Let's say hi to Missy. Hey, I see her there. Hi, Missy.
Hey, you guys see me?
Yeah.
Hey, Missy, good to see you.
I'm going outside because I want to be in the thick of it. The bombs bursting in air, the Armageddon animals, as I call it. So I didn't know if I'd actually get in the studio yet, but I'm not actually outside. And I actually have my night vision too, if it gets dark, to see if we see anything tonight.
Oh, that would be cool if we saw a UFO, because there's going to be a lot of fireworks going off tonight, right? I mean, like, they haven't started here yet. Where are you at tonight, Missy?
I am in Hot Springs, North Carolina.
Wow.
Just like, I said, I always move around, but I'm actually in the Spring Creek or Trust part of Hot Springs, North Carolina. I would have gone on my iPad, Rob, but I don't know how to do StreamYard on that, so I'll have to practice that. So right now I'm just on my phone because I couldn't really get that set up. I have it set up for Zoom, but I don't know how to do it. And I've got my 4th of July garb on. See, I have my tie-dye to make America grateful again, and then I've got this some kids made these, so I'm all decked out.
You know what? We already had a question. Indy's in the chat, and she wants to know: do you think that? She says, do you think the Civil War forts could be like SSP locations? And Ray, you can chime in on that if you want to.
Yes.
As well.
Okay, so what's weird about this too is, she put up that hi, Indy. Normally we'd be doing grid work today, but I guess we were just not supposed to. It was the energy just wasn't right. It was that kind of feeling that we just have to really go within right now, because there's just so much disclosure on a personal level that's going to happen, because I feel like we're jumping hoops through so many timelines. I'm actually trying to open this water and I can't get it open, so I might have to. It's like a bubbly water, bro.
Every time I see you, Lucy, you look like you're getting in better and better shape. Honestly, you look like you're really taking care of yourself health-wise.
Okay, so I'm all over the place right now. But the thing I'm doing for that is I'm working on my macronutrients. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about this. Okay, so Indy put up that thing about the dumbs in Fort Pickens. Really interesting, because it's just a short clip video. You guys got to watch it. She was there until I know that she got attacked by all the bugs were attacking her. But I have a feeling there's definitely one of those in Paris Island in South Carolina, south of Edisto Island, because Edisto Island sits between 2 military bases. And I know you guys brought up Folly Beach, because didn't you say you used to go surfing there, Rob? Folly Beach, as a crow flies, is not far from Charleston or Edisto Island. But right now,
Isn't Folly Beach in Charleston? Is Folly Beach, I think, is in Charleston, right? Or is it right by?
It's in the county, but it's not. It's actually its own area. It's closer to I can't remember if it's James or John's Island. It's not in the downtown of Charleston, but they're all close. But yes, I'm feeling that these Civil War forts, there is something to do with the secret space program, definitely. Absolutely.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's just, and I think they're like timeline hubs where they go in and they do timeline adjustments and anomalies. I know one place I really felt that was in Chicago years ago, when I used to go to the Chicago O'Hare Airport, when we used to have to go visit Ron's mother. I felt like that was like one of the reincarnational points when people exit, they get recycled back in, and that's some of the gates that are connected with the moon and the recycling program.
It's weird, Missy. There's all those sightings of those winged humanoids there too. Did you ever hear about that? They see a lot of winged humanoids like coming out of that O'Hare Airport. Like, I think Lon Strickler originally reported on that as far as like the paranormal stuff goes,
You know what's weird is my dad just said he has a feeling we need to go to the Mothman Museum. He's like, let's take a trip to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, because last time when we went there, when I went to Serpent Mounds a few years ago, and I went to visit my cousin in West Virginia, that was like in Roanoke, West Virginia, we didn't have the time to actually go to the Mothman Museum, but you're not that far from there, Rob.
No, not at all. It's real close. The Serpent Mound's close to me too. Like it's like weird. It's like Pittsburgh, Ohio, and West Virginia all connect at one point. And there's a point where you could be in Pittsburgh and you could jump right over to West Virginia, or you can jump right over to Ohio, depending where you're at. If you go like left, you could be in West Virginia, and if you go right, you could be in Ohio. It's like that close to each other. It's like there's a joining point between all three places. It's interesting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much to even know where to go. But back to the whole Fort Pickens thing. I mean, there's definitely something weird going on in Florida. And before I'm on air now.
Send me the link.
Oh, okay. I'll try. My dad's out here. He's asking me to send him the link. It'll take a minute.
You want me to send it to your Instagram, and then you can send it to him or whatever? I can do it while we're talking here.
Yeah. Actually, send it to my phone number.
I think I have that. Let me see. Let me see if I do. I think I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll send the YouTube. Yeah, I'll send it right now.
It's just going to be easier than me trying to, because like I said, with StreamYard, I got to figure out how to actually like put this on my iPad, I guess, because it came through my Instagram and I don't necessarily have Instagram on my iPad, or I don't know if I do. I wasn't sure how I was going to hook it up, but then I figured I just have my phone in case I wanted to be outside, because I have my third generation night vision goggles. These are what they look like.
Oh,
I take
cool.
people to go do UFO Skywatch. Okay, here comes the link. Let me just go ahead and do this. So if he wants to hear this real quick, I hope I didn't lose you.
No, you're good.
Okay, so you can still hear me while I'm doing this, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, Rob, I had a lot of fun tonight. I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna enjoy Missy's conversation from the outside. It was very nice to meet you, Missy. Have a good show tonight.
Hello.
I just want to say, guys, I'll go subscribe to Ray's podcast,
now.
The Star Card Podcast on YouTube, and thank you so much, Ray. It was really good having you on, and happy 4th of July.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll wait until Missy comes back. You just lose her?
Oh, yeah.
I'll stay until she comes back. I was watching my lunch break. They had an episode about the military bases in Hawaii that are sitting right next to volcanoes. And, why would you put so many military bases by all these volcanoes that could go off anytime? And the answer is it's all underneath the military bases. Anyway, it was good to see you, Missy. I'm going to sign out.
But real quick, Ray, there's UFOs that come out of those volcanoes seamlessly. UFOs are able to like transpose the lava or whatever. Like UFOs come out of those volcanoes seamlessly. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
And out of the inner earth too. And they take those magnetic levitation trains, those maglev trains, from our planet to other planets. So they must be doing some kind of portaling. One way, there's lots of stuff that we don't know about. And I know there's a lot of that stuff that Missy could talk about that stuff.
Ray, I just wanted to ask you, what part of California are you in?
I'm in Ventura County. I'm over by Point Mugu Naval Base.
Oh, okay. How far is that from Santa Barbara? Because it's a possibility we might be going out to Santa Barbara in September. We don't know. But, Rob, we talked about that 1776 meeting in the middle of September when Karen Avalon was on the show with me. Remember that? So we might, I don't know how far that is from.
So Santa Barbara is about an hour's drive from where I live.
Oh, okay.
Missy, if I imagine you're traveling with a companion, if you're swinging through Ventura County near Thousand Oaks, I'd be very happy to take you and your companion out to dinner. My treat. You know, you can
Okay.
stop in, we can say hi, I can treat you to dinner, and you can keep driving.
Sounds cool. That's great. Yeah, we might actually, it's possible we might even fly into Las Vegas and drive. I don't know. We just don't know yet what's going to happen with this meeting and how it's going to happen. But Ron will also talk more about that. Is Indy still in the audience?
Yeah, yeah, she is. I think so. Yeah.
Okay, what I want to give you first is an update of what's going on in Western North Carolina before we go anywhere else with questions. So, and right now I'm burning sage, and I felt like I wanted to blow bubbles instead of blowing bubbles, and it's an override for bombs bursting in air 4th of July fireworks because my cat Arthur loves these.
I'm telling Indy that after you talk for a little bit, if she wants to join us, I'll send her a link. If she wants to, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's
I know
great.
you probably have some stuff you want to get out. Yeah.
We were supposed to be doing that 4th of July Israel grid work. Actually, before I even talk about North Carolina, she brought up this Love Island thing. You know, she put up a video about this.
It was amazing. I reposted it for her on my community board because I was so impressed with it. You know, because she went deep into MK Ultra, and I told my subscribers to go watch it. I saw that this morning when she put. I was really impressed with that. You know, it was pretty cool.
I had never heard of that show. I don't watch this kind of crap, right? So before she even talked about it, I said, you know, I'm going to go ahead and just preview and look at this. And I said, the first thing I got when I even heard, I said, this is like a Barbie version of an Epstein Island. And she brought that up. I was thinking Epstein Island, Fantasy Island, Westworld, Truman Show, Hunger Games, you know, all these movies that they've disclosed this kind of MK Ultra programming to us and this trauma-based mind control. It was like, oh my God. And
some of those movies tie into like the Matrix or like the simulation, and some of them tie into like the secret space program too. You know what I mean? It's weird how it's like interconnected. You know?
It's all interconnected, but I'm like I said, I've never heard of the show because I just don't watch things like that. And even Squid Games, because somebody told me to watch some of that just to see what it was. And I did when I had COVID. It was horrible. I mean, I was not feeling well. And that reminded me of that too. It's like a squid. It's just like, ew, yuck, just so icky. But anyway, what's going on in North Carolina? So Ron and I took a trip about a week or so ago. And because it was so hot, we felt like we really wanted to go up to the Linville Gorge area where the Brown Mountain Lights are. Okay. And when we got up there, we found out that actually the Blue Ridge Parkway is closed from Linville Falls all the way to Mount Mitchell. I already knew it was closed in the Mount Mitchell area because I wanted to go hiking there a couple weeks ago, because what I love about Mount Mitchell is it's about 20 degrees cooler there when it's like really hot in the Asheville area, right? So yeah, we couldn't do much of what we wanted to do. We did go to Linville Land Harbor. That's where Ron and I married ourselves, where his mother used to live years ago. And then we went up to Grandfather Mountain. And what's really interesting about Grandfather Mountain, I didn't even know that it was an international biosphere reserve. So what's interesting about that, International Biosphere Reserve, you know, the Smoky Mountain National Park is also that. And a lot of times that's where, you know, the United Nations and things train. So there's something more than meets the eye that's going on up there in Grandfather Mountain. And also Grandfather Mountain, the mountain itself actually looks like a grandfather's face. If you see the picture of it, I didn't have time to, you know, send you pictures on this stuff, but especially if the sun hits it a certain way, what happens is it looks like, you know, the face and the beard of an old man. So that's kind of interesting. And there's something I got to dig into it more. I've been working so much on Mount Mitchell for years, and you know, Mount Mitchell has been claimed for the light now ever since the obelisk, the Vance Monument in Asheville, North Carolina, came down, you know, which we know it's not really good to have obelisks come down and change history. But what happened is when that obelisk came down, even though it's sort of like a festering wound for packed square in Asheville, and needs a lot of energy work to be done to it. It scrambled the frequency, and it was not able to talk to what was going on in Mount Mitchell as far as what was going on in the ground up there, which, they buried a bunch of different stuff because they have Masonic markers, which is the grave of Elijah Mitchell. And, even years ago when we used to go hiking up there, our compass would start acting a little weird. The magnetics were weird, right? But and then the other weird thing about this too is I've talked about this on the show before. The Vance Monument, which is named after Zebulon Vance. If you Google a picture of Zebulon Vance and JD Vance, it's uncanny how much they look like each other. Oh, by the way,
Zebulon Vance, Missy? Who is that? Is that his like great grandfather or something?
they're related, but you don't know how they're exactly related if it's on the mother's side. But do you like the hat I'm wearing, Rob?
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I thought you would like that. So I just felt like I had to wear it because I felt in a magical mood. The other thing that was very strange that I noticed when I happened to be staying at this motel called the Park View Lodge is that they were having a Harry Potter marathon. I always like to turn on the TV to see what they're broadcasting, and it was a Harry Potter marathon. And I'm like, isn't this interesting? It's not near Halloween. It's not in the fall, but there's something that's feeling very kind of magical lately. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I've been trying to like decipher what does this mean. Come to think about it, I've been seeing these things on Facebook about J.K. Rowling and that some places have banned her books because she's against LGB trans and all that stuff. So anyway.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
on like a lighter note, there's a whole movement. My friend came on the other day. Her name's Black Uni Gryphon, and she's been studying reality shifting. Like, I guess there's like a lot of the younger kids now, or I guess she told me they're into reality shifting, and it's becoming like a thing, which is cool because usually there's not a lot of younger people in our interested in our and this stuff, but from what she tells me, it's becoming like a big thing, and like one of the places they go to when they shift realities is they go to Hogwarts, supposedly.
James Rink is into all that.
Yeah,
sent me videos on how he actually brings forth and sort of like channels these versions of Hogwarts that he himself feels connected to. And I actually feel that it is like she did bring something forth, that it's like a real place. On inner planes, we're being trained to do, magic against the dark arts, obviously. And we're in the thick of it now. We're really in the thick of it,
I agree.
It's just crazy. And a lot of the memes are, all about the storm is upon us. And then there's the alligator Alcatraz. Oh my God.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, my friend was showing me that. I was like, what is going on? And they, what's crazy? They somehow built that in a day or something. Like that's a whole thing there. That's a whole rabbit hole to go down. Like what is the whole purpose for that?
I don't know, but everything is feeling even much more virtual. It's really feeling like Hunger Games. It's really feeling like Truman Show. I've seen some groundhogs. It feels even more like Groundhog Day. And it feels like there is a push for the singularity. Like there's somebody or something or a bunch of us or a bunch of them or whatever it is that's pushing to get to the end of something. Like, let's get this game moving along. Like, let's get to the next version of the game. And there's like so many people saying that, now we're gonna, when there's this solar flash, we're going to go through the sun. I mean, there's so many different versions of what actually could be happening. I know Indy's talked about time speeding up. I've been feeling that for a long time, but it feels like, days go by. I mean, here we are already in the middle of July, and I felt this was an important window because I felt by this time we would we were going to know something of what was going to happen in the playbook. That's what I'm waiting. I'm like waiting for the download of what is going to be coming in the playbook. Like,
I'll tell you, I agree with you guys too about the time speed. I've been saying this for a while, you know, like I've been noticing it. It's like time keeps going faster and faster. Days, weeks, months go by. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like yesterday we just did our Christmas show. Remember, you were on for Christmas and then you were on for Thanksgiving? That seems like it was just yesterday. That was 6 months ago. But it just seems like it was last week. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know where time's going. It's weird, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's a revolving door, because today I was feeling like with everything with this, the big, beautiful bill and all this stuff, some people are worried about it. It's good on other levels. You know, there's a lot of good in it too. There's all different levels, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if they start defunding the weather wars? I mean, I've been like praying and visualizing and saying, let's put our energy towards that. Let's use wishing machines. Let's douse. Let's do whatever we can for them to defund things to do with weather, and there's no money to spray chemtrails. I've done these experiments before of like putting it on radionics wishing machine to take away the money for chemtrails, to take away the money for them to do weather modification with the HARRP, all these different things, because we don't want these storms. North Carolina cannot afford to have what happened last year. Many places can't. Florida can't afford to have a Milton. Western North Carolina can't afford to have another Helene. We don't need this type of attack, because there's still so much rebuilding that has to take place. I mean, there's so much debris. When I drove through Old Fort on my way to Linville, I mean, there was like 3 different bridges that were washed out that they had to rebuild, and there's just so much, dead trees and all kinds of debris still. So much. Some people can't even have their homes rebuilt yet, and the insurance won't cover it. And the reason for this is because they don't know the stability of the rivers and how they've shifted. Because, I mean, you heard about 40 and how recently there was a problem with, I-40 again on the North Carolina-Tennessee border, which they fixed, but, they're not. It's going to take a while to fix that properly, because we don't know how the land and the land mass has actually shifted.
Yeah. So I see what you mean. Yeah. Like, so do you think the insurance companies, they're holding, that's what their big reason for holding out, you think? Or do you think it's just because insurance is grimy too? And they, like
all the above, but I think that could, on the local level, the ones that want to do good, I think that's a lot of it, because you can't insure a property if you don't know if it's going to be in a floodplain or not.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to be, so you can't insure it yet. So these people still don't have their homes yet. It's crazy. And yet, I told you I picked up, and I know India done some updates on, I think it was, volcanoes, like, it was Kilauea, stuff in Hawaii, different volcanic activity places. And we did that grid work on the San Andreas Fault, in California. But I was also picking up things with the New Madrid Fault, because I think I told you last time when I was in Gatlinburg, I think we did a show then where I said that there was like a bomb threat in Gatlinburg, and that was all around the same time when I was starting to pick up this instability in Tennessee, in the eastern part of Tennessee, western North Carolina, that's not too far from the New Madrid Fault. What's important about the New Madrid Fault is one time the Mississippi River flowed backwards. Okay, see, because there had been earthquakes in Tennessee near the western North Carolina border, and they felt them even into Black Mountain and down into Georgia. So there's. Wow. And then after that whole thing with with I-40 and them having to shut it down again. So that's a little bit about what's going on in Western North Carolina now, as far as, the grids are they still feel unstable to me in a lot of places. I mean, I could feel the land was upset and crying when I was not necessarily at Grandfather Mountain, but in the surrounding areas. Even though it's beautiful, it feels different. It feels like it's been wiped.
Wow. What do you mean by wiped? Like, what do you mean? Like.
Well, it's like coming in and like demineralizing it.
Oh God, yeah, I got you.
Feels unstable, like it's not, it's not happy with what's happened, things like that. And like I said, Grandfather Mountain, I'm really getting that there's something other than going on up there, even though it's beautiful. Oh, this is an interesting thing. We watched a movie from like 2013, and they said in that movie, they said that the all-time high was 83 degrees. That was like the all-time high, because you're above 4,000 feet up there. And it was definitely above 85 the day we were there. So it was hot, unless you're on that swinging bridge. The swinging bridge, when you get to the top of it, is 5,280 feet. So it's the mile-high swinging bridge, which is cool. But if you're on the rocks, it's like the sun. This is another thing Indy's been talking about, too, is that I've noticed this for a while, the white sun and the white sky. And yes, there's the higher perspective, the diamond light codes and things like that, the positive coming through. Although I feel a lot of like the negative, where it feels artificial. Like, to me, years ago, it always felt like a mercury light bulb, like a artificial light bulb, like it's something different than growing up with like the yellow sun. Why is the sun so white? It's like burning hot and bright. Now,
it's really strong. I mean, the days that it's run sunny here, because like I think I told you this, it's been raining here every day, so you can tell something's going on with the weather. Like here, at least, we've never seen so much rain. And I know I'm not even exaggerating. It's every day, but no. But when it is hot, I have to put sunscreen on, because it's so powerful, Missy. I agree. It's like it's really, really, really strong. Like the one day I usually go for like a 5 or 6 mile walk, and it burnt my whole. I had a coat on too, because it was still like somewhat chilly then. I think I told you about this, and it burnt my whole. I had like a really bad burn. I mean, it's really powerful, And then I was going to tell you this: we had a really bad lightning storm. But it looked beautiful, the other day when I was just on the phone with Indy, and I had just gotten off the phone with her. I went to the bar to pick up food, and I was talking to Indy about something, and then I hung up, and I was walking home, and I saw this above the mountains here in Pennsylvania. There was like I have it on video. I haven't posted it to my Instagram or anything yet. It's beautiful, like a lightning storm. So it makes me think, like, what's going on with like is that what I mean? Do you think it's solar storms from the sun? Is that why the sun's hot, and is that why we're seeing some of this stuff?
Yeah, and to me, if we're in a matrix, some people, have you ever heard this theory that we've actually been moved? I mean, Lisa Harrison talks about this. If you know who she is, she interviewed like John Lamb Lash. She interviewed David Icke. She had that the One People show, and the unfuck it thing, and the deconstructing the construct. Are you familiar with her?
No, I feel dumb. I've never heard of her for some reason.
Also, she interviewed Carrie Cassidy and people like that. But she even interviewed Lisa Renee from Energetic Synthesis. But anyway, there's a theory that we've actually been moved from one construct to the other, which took place around 2012, and then something else happened around 2015 going into 2016 to do with the quantum computers and CERN, because it's this whole thing we're talking about with the timeline jumping and timeline editing. It actually feels like they're editing timelines, like something happens and then they go back and change the timeline. And the reason sometimes I know when they do this is one time years ago when we were looking at the property in Edisto Island. So I think that was in probably like 2018, and we were staying in Walterboro, South Carolina. We came back to use the pool, and it was late in the day. And one day, as the sun was going down, the moon was rising, the crescent moon was going one way, like it was, say, the 2 points were facing like this way. Well, then the next day it was the other way. That just doesn't happen. And I've seen one time over Earth Fair, I remember seeing like everything was in a different place in the sky. Have you guys drop it in the comments if you notice that sometimes things in the sky, they'll be in a certain area and then it'll all of a sudden shift and move.
Well, but Missy, I just got to look behind you. It looks amazing behind you where you're at right now. It looks beautiful. It's, I mean, it's like
out here, even though it's dark, and I was hoping we would hear some fireworks, but I'm not hearing any. I mean, I'm surprised that maybe it's not dark enough yet. I guess
They're not popping off here either yet. You know,
yeah,
I thought maybe I thought maybe I'd go outside if they start, but like, you know, they're not. And usually, you know, I have, you know how people are in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? I mean, they love their fireworks. Let's just say that. You know, like I like fireworks too. I love being American. You know, I really do. Like, you know, I feel like we have the best country in the world. I don't, you know, like you just got to get some things right here. You know, like, but like, you know, I don't know. You know, it's
I'm watching lightning bugs right now, and I'd rather see, you know, my problem with fireworks is it's hard on nature and it's like Armageddon for animals. I always make jokes it's the bombs bursting in air, because it is. It's, if you take a dog or cat or squirrels don't like it, birds don't like it, things like that. It needs to just be in an open area, you know, not where there's trees where it can start fires. But I know in other countries they're going like to laser, you know, it's going to be like laser fireworks. And have you heard about these fireworks coming from China that they're you know, they could go off and, you know, injure people and stuff like that, and this is deliberate? I mean, there's so much crap though now on X, you don't even know like what's real and what isn't anymore. It's like everything is out there, like, you know, just to look at, and so much of it is AI generated too.
I have a couple of questions for you. I wanted to ask you more about the alligator Alcatraz, like if you heard anything about it, but then I also wanted to tell you about this. So I was talking to this girl last night, and like a lot of lately, like I know you know about the Ashana Dean material, and I know Indy knows about it as well. And my friend was telling me last night that, you know, because I was asking, I was like, I need to get more into like the Dean material. I want to study it more. You know, I think I have a copy of Voyagers too. I do. I think. But with that said, you know, my friend told me, she said that there's this rumor going around the community that Ashana Dean is doing some kind of Luciferian stuff where she's showing up in people's dreams, where they think that she's sending entities to them. I can't, this is all hearsay. Okay. This is all rumor. None of this is proven. You know, this is just you know, and she said that like Ashana Dean showing up in men's dreams specifically, and she's vomiting into their mouth, you know, and I don't know. Have you heard anything about this? And like, do you think there's any
thing like this? But this sounds like, you know, definitely like succubus type of energy, which I'm not going to say, you know, there's so many people that have it in for her, right? You know,
yeah.
People are always,
they'll demonize her, right? They'll make things up and demonize her, right?
Yeah,
is that kind of
there's a lot of people in the KS community because of the different speakers. You know, her having like the Speaker One contract, and then her previous husband Michael Dean having another contract. Then there was another woman that had the contract, and then, you know, according to the teachings, I mean, I've been in and out of it and on the fringe and kind of like on the periphery, and don't get involved in the drama, because I don't like drama and splits in community. And when people take material and they start worshiping it and make a cult leader out of somebody, I just think that's a bunch of bullshit, and I'm not into any of that kind of drama. But because I've already witnessed that, like, you know, years ago when I did the church thing, I've seen the splits, you know, where there's like a consciousness split, and that's part of this bifurcation right now. I mean, we're not just in a bifurcation like up and down. It's like up, down, sideways, inside, outside, black hole, white hole. I mean, everything is like approaching a singularity that's like the true organic singularity, as well as like the AI version of it. That's what I think is happening. So this black goo, this And then let me put this out there. When Indy was talking about like the black goo goddess, I was seeing like Lucy. Do you remember the movie Lucy, and how everything was all like these black tentacles, and then she ends up like on a hard drive or a USB thing? I mean,
Yeah.
that's like what's happening, right? It's like, you going to stay organic as a analog human being, or are you going to be digital and being uploaded to the cloud? You know, we really got to be careful, right? And we got to clear ourselves from the scaffolding from that La Cucaracha needlecraft tech, you know, that we've all been exposed to, whether we took it or we didn't take it, which is,
Yeah.
you know, part of
Because there's shedding too, right? Do you believe in shedding?
Oh God, yeah, I've experienced it. That's how I got sick. That's how I got it the first time. I got that shit from the shedding because I went somewhere I shouldn't have gone. I was briefed that it was coming my way. I didn't know why, but I still, in a way, I guess, had to get it to work with it, because it was the whole thing. It was the Delta variant, and it was in the sleep. You know, it was like the whole thing of, and then the Omicron, that's like they told you who they were. They were letting you know who made it, the Omicron draconian. I mean, because isn't that weird? Because Ashana Dean talked about the Omicron, but anyway, back to her. So
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you know, I'm going to tell you. You know, what was interesting? How I got the Carrie Cassidy interview was so she sent out an email to like maybe like I would say it was like 7 podcasters, and I was one of them. She sent out to like me, Leak Project, and a couple other people, and she was like, if you guys aren't covering the Ashana Dean material, you're doing something wrong, and you need to. So I took that as an opportunity. I was like, hey, she emailed me. I'm going to email her back. So I emailed her back. I was like, hey, I'm interested in the Ashana Dean material, and I'm also a big fan of your show. I've been watching you for a long time. Like, I know all the old Carrie Cassidy shows. I know, you know, like I know about John Edmonds at the Stardust Ranch, and you know all the people that she, you know, the classic interviews she had. And I started, and I was like, yeah, why don't you come on my show? And that's how it happened, you know. And I was so excited to, you know, talk to her, because like I've been a fan of Carrie's work for a long time, you know, and she knows why I was saying that is because she's a big fan of Ashana Dean. She really highly looks up to her material, you know. So
in
it's
2011 going into 2012, what happened is, and I don't know if this is because of Michael Dean, because there's a lot of breaks in my study, and I don't really, I mean, I'm on the fringe of a couple KS groups in Facebook just to see what goes on. But, you know, she and her husband weren't, you know, were, I guess, going to get a divorce. And, you know, something happened with the teachings where they say that the other party stole like the freedom teachings and these other things from her, because she had Azurite Press. That was the company name. And what she was saying at that time is that it was called the Crystal River Host Mission. Like the whole, I mean, Lisa Renee says it one way, like Ascension A plan turned into Ascension B plan, where things just shifted because it's this, in my perspective, it's like the timeline editing wars. Like, you know, the good guys and the bad guys are fighting each other, and there's other beings coming through black holes, like they're called the Weesadex. Okay. And I know for myself, in 2009, I had an experience in 2009 where that's when I became aware that something was shifting as we were heading towards the Mayan calendar. Like everybody on Coast to Coast, you know, was talking about December 21st, 2012. I became aware of the escalation, especially in 2009, and especially December 9th, 2009, when there was that Norway spiral. That's when something weird happened. I really think that is what was one of the original trigger events that brought weird, you know, something other than in. And that's when we really started to see even more of those timeline edits. Is it getting too dark? Do you see me?
I can see that they're starting to pop off here. I can hear the fireworks a little bit, but like they might, you know, I live up like on a like somewhat of an elevation, you know, so like I have a pretty good view, you know, like even when I go out to like smoke, like, you know, it's like I can see, like it's pretty cool, like, You know, like I live in like the country. I always say Pittsburgh, but I live like 30 minutes from the city, which is in my mind is a good thing because I don't want to be in the middle of the city. You know, like especially now, it seems like I know this is kind of cliche to say, but it does seem like they're trying to get us all into the cities. You know, and I think there's a reason for that. You know, they want to build 15-minute cities, and you know, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the bullshit we're seeing, right? I mean, like. I mean, maybe that's why a lot of this weather manipulation. I mean, I think we've talked about that before, right?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. But let me get still on this train.
Sorry,
So I remember
sorry.
where I'm going. So people, when she actually started to change her teachings and started talking about the internal, eternal realms of the plasmas, you know, like, and you know, it's interesting because in Star Wars, you know, it's all about plasmas, right?
Yeah.
And the dark flowering of the grids and things like that, people started saying she was dark flowered, and then there was this whole thing, KS people, you know, actually starting to hate each other, like, you know, the freedom teaching people of the, you know, the older material didn't like anything of the new stuff, and then the new stuff, they're saying you better not even look at the old, you know, the external, you know, Cathar grid and all this stuff. I mean, you got to put all that on hold. Yeah. So it's crazy. But what's really playing out now is, since, I mean, I noticed it when I went down to Florida, which we talked about, you know, with Indy various times, and also on your show and other podcasts, is that I actually felt when I went down to Florida in January, when I visited family in that cruise, that Stargate 2 was dark flowered, and, you know, in the Sarasota Siesta Key area, and that it had actually moved temporarily, at least, over to Mar-a-Lago. And then we've heard about the fact that Trump, you know, has these replicas of the Ark of the Covenant. You know, according to Iyasha, the Ark of the Covenant portal passages actually is Andromeda, you know, because it was in Ireland for a while. By the way, I guess I'll say, I know she moved to Southern Ireland. That's where she moved when she left. When she left Siesta Key, that's where she's living now, is in Southern Ireland. And the reason for that is the awakening of Camelot, or Camelahati, which is, you know, the King Arthur grid. You know, that's part of it. I mean, people also say it's in Italy. I mean, it could be in Wales. It's that whole landmass over there, you know, which is Albion. You know, and that brings me back to the night that Ron and I got married in Linville, when we said our vows to each other under the full moon. There was a spirit that came to me that said it was Albion, and it made sense because Ron's father was from the UK. Okay, and he has that British template. You know, that's even why I named my cat Arthur. And according to my chart, our marriage chart, we have to have a Taurus baby. And my one cat, Soda, who was an orange female tabby, she was a Taurus. Her birthday was May 20th. I mean, I didn't know for sure. That was by her teeth, and she told me her birthday. But I know, you know, because when you get, you know, take a cat to the vet, they can tell their age by their teeth, right? But I know for a fact Arthur, he was born on May 19th, which is definitely a Taurus.
Wow, that's so cool. Like, but I wanted to ask you, but you mentioned the Stargates. Do you feel like a lot of these Stargates are active? Like, do you think they're open and things are coming in and out of them? And is that why, like, there's the you know, like, even when Indy came on my show, she talked about, like, Iran. I believe that's like what, Stargate 10 or something, or, you know, like, do you feel like these are open and active, and like, or do you think they're trying to get to a point where they are activating them or something?
I think they're starting to become active, and I think that they are using artificial means to open them. And the reason I say that is because when I was on the cruise in Mexico and I went down to Chichen Itza, what I got with that pyramid, it was completely a shell. It had a resonance, but it was not active anymore, especially because the Mayans had left and it was taken over by the Aztecs. And that's when all the bloodshed stuff has come in. But recently, in the past couple of years, I think they're opening again because they're the reason they're being opened is because they have to be opened by somebody. Somebody has to have the keys, and the Atlanteans are back, and there's these wars going on, and these dark factions are the ones that are actually opening them. But see, we have the organic technology to open them too, but there's been like a quarantine here. Isn't it interesting that during the whole COVID narrative that they put us in a quarantine, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been in a quarantine. Our planet is quarantined. We can't get out of here. We can't get out of here the way they show us. The way they show us, like the way we went to the moon. We obviously can't go to the moon the way that they show us, because we have to get past the firmament. We have to change dimension, and this physical body can't change dimension. That's where the whole principle of jump rooms and all this SSP stuff comes in, which there's a part of me that's not allowed to remember all these things yet. But interestingly enough, because of what's going on with Karen, I got to connect with Laura in the next few days. Laura was what helped me, Eisenhower, remember a lot of my like underground base. Just meeting her and talking to her, I started having dreams about like underground bases, between talking to her and also going to a place in Western North Carolina called Perry, the Pisgah Astronomical Research Center, which is in Rosman, in the Pisgah Forest. It's and I think I've talked about this before, with feeling the thumping under the ground when Ron and I were picking blueberries and we went to the base of Judiculla Rock.
Oh, that's so cool.
A rock and then there's also actually it's the base of the Devil's Courthouse, but it's all connected the same area. Like Devil's Courthouse, when you go on the Blue Ridge Parkway and you take a hike up there, they'll say it's like there's $1,000 fine if you go off the trail. Okay. Very strange. And the whole thing about Judiculla, like there is a Judiculla rock, which is in Cullowhee, North Carolina, which has petroglyphs on it. And when you go there, it has a resonance and you feel it's an interesting feeling. This is all part of the Western North Carolina grid work conspiracy vortex tour that I'm trying to put together. I mean, I have a whole boots on the ground tour of places to go in the Pisgah Forest, Rosman and Perry being one, maybe they'll have their star party.
I wanted to say, I just, you made me think of something. I talked to Andy about this. I brought it up to her like one time, but I wanted to see what you thought about this. Like, like she has a pretty big audience, and I had a big audience, and I think there's still a lot of people watch. I was thinking we should like join forces, and I told her we should do something. We should have like an event or something where everybody can meet. Because like
me too.
And then where I don't know. And then she mentioned back. She said it like a camping trip. I said that would be good because people could probably afford it. You know what I mean? Like because like. A lot of these conferences cost a lot of money, but I mean, like, like that might be something, I'm going to ask her about what she thinks about that seriously or something. I've always wanted to go to New Orleans, I've always wanted to have something there because it's kind of like the paranormal capital of the world, but I mean, I don't know. What do
you wanted to go there in the winter, but I think it's better in a way to stay out of the cities originally and kind of be in the nature area to connect with people, like to be in the mountains or to be somewhere where you're not necessarily off the grid, but you're off the radar as far as, because, New Orleans is interesting, but there's vampires in New Orleans. I mean, that place.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
it's loaded with vampires, I mean,
like real vampires.
Yeah, like for real. And that's part of, and the thing is even with Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, some of these storms are actually, they're man-made, they're directed, they're this and that, but some of them also are to clean out the tunneling systems and things like that. I don't agree with it though. I guess it's casualties of war. I don't like it. I mean, even Western North Carolina, they that's what I've heard, that there's a lot of that trafficking and weird stuff going on here too. I mean, I felt weird stuff, back to the Perry thing. So the first time I went to Pisgah Astronomical Research Institute, I went to what was called the Perry Star Party. The reason I found out about this place is because Ron actually made deliveries there in his truck when he worked for UPS Freight. And the guy that he met said, "Oh, we see UFOs here all the time, like these small UFOs." This is like a mini outcropping of a HARP or Arecibo that has radio telescopes left over from the Cold War and like underground bunkers, and they do have tunnels. So the first time we visited there, they actually let us go in the tunnel. And then I started having dreams about it, memories, and I started seeing like the experiments in the bases in my dreams, like going, way subterranean. I was having dreams about that for a while. It wasn't very much.
So, can I ask you a question? Do you think you're a MILAB, a military abductee or something like that? Do you think you might be?
I have some memories of when I was a child going to an Air Force base to visit my dad's cousin. Okay. And I didn't really want to go here and get gross, but I will. Let's just say I felt something, and this was in Oklahoma. Okay. So it's an Air Force base. I remember after this, something coming through the window. And the next day, at 10 years old, bleeding, female bleeding being triggered, which is not, yes. So let's just leave it at that.
Wait, I got a question. Do you think you've had alien contact too? Or do you think, I've never asked you that.
This is what I think a lot of times. I think a lot of this stuff happens in the dream state. Like, like when Laura talks about going to Mars and things like this. If you watched the movie years ago, Rosemary's Baby, horrible.
I remember that movie. I love the old times. Like,
a lot of disclosure in that because it's not physical. It's almost like an astral thing. But remember in the Matrix when Neo had the virtual reality and he was plugged in, even though it wasn't physical, he had all the physical symptoms because he was really there. This is the MK Ultra programming and what Indy's tapping into. It's so amazing the way she broke that down. Everybody needs to watch that video. I got to get that video out to people, back to that Love Island, which is like Fantasy Island, which is like Love Boat, which is like all these things, which is like Westworld, right? Which means it goes bad when it becomes Westworld. And then it becomes like Jurassic Park, and then you have your alligator. Oh my god!
It's almost like shaming rituals too. Like, like she said, these people are like having sex like on top of like they're in like they supposedly they're like living in the same room, and there's people like having sex, like, so people are like sleep deprived. And then I never saw the show. I've never saw it, but I mean,
that's so disgusting. Now the only show I've watched is that one when I've worked out. What I used to watch when I was at a motel, I would either watch Zach Bagans when he was on, because I like
this show. Yeah,
I'd like to watch Ghost Adventures, or Naked and Afraid would always be on.
Oh my god, that was funny. I remember that show. Yeah, that was hilarious.
That's a ridiculous. It's really ridiculous though, because I think at the end of the day, those people must go to a motel. But you do see they do get eaten alive by bugs. You will see the bug bites all over them. It's like,
yeah. I could never do that. I mean, because I'm more of like I'm not built for the wilderness. Let's put it that way. I'm lucky to be born into this time. In this technological age, because I don't know. But I get back to the.
I just heard him, but see, this is my feeling about Western North Carolina. Shivani, that now goes by Alma, right? She's got property where people can camp out in the Spruce Pine area.
Oh, that would be cool.
she's not that close to airports. And I actually approached NOCO about, I wanted to bring Indy to Western North Carolina. She can come on if she wants. Does she want to come on now?
I don't think she's in the audience. I mean, I'll see if she's Indy. If you're still in the audience, if you want to come on, let us know, and I'll send you a link, or I'll even text her too. I'll say, let me see if she's. I'll send her a text real quick. But
before these, because of, I'm always having me with my cards, right? I got these new rune cards. I don't know what I think of them, but you know, sometimes when I order something from Amazon, if I don't have Prime right now, so what I like to do is order something if I need to boost it up to get free shipping. So I got these rune because they were cheap, and I just figured see what they are. And I think I'm gonna have to go inside in a minute, but I want, because it's not even dark enough to do night vision. I was thinking I would do night vision on air, but can you see me? Can you see me, or is it too dark?
I can see you. It's getting dark, but I can see you. It's you know, it's visible, you know.
Because I might end up going inside, but I wanted to be out here to hear the fireworks, sort of like as a override and a clearing if anything needed to be cleared. But
yeah, because it's
where do you want me to pull one of these cards, Rob? From the top, middle, or bottom?
You know, you could do it. I'm supposed to be going to the Full Disclosure Now conference, and like I'm leaving. If I go, I'm going. I'm leaving on the 10th. I'm going with Gina Virginia Casella. You know, she comes on, does readings on my show. She's from Ontario. She's driving from Ontario, and then she's picking me up in Pittsburgh, and then we're driving down to Florida. We'll get there early. We'll be there for a couple days, but like I'm still trying to put it together money wise. Like but I have there's like light at the end of the tunnel. Like someone's supposed to send me money. I don't want to say who, but you know, but like, you know, and then like, you know, and it's, you know, but like, yeah, I think it's going to happen. And I was going to say, I'll probably see Laura, you know, Laura's going to be there, Eisenhower, you know? So,
I would do a show with me, you and Laura. Can we make that happen, Rob? I would love to do that.
Yeah, I can try to make that happen. I'm
so fun because I can ask Laura, you know, because we did the cruises together and a few things. Just tell me where you want the card, top, middle, or bottom. I don't know if it's going to be about that, but I just want you to.
You know, she did a show with me in Indy before, you know, so she would probably do it. I bet you, you know, like.
Okay, where do you want the card from?
Oh, middle, I said. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I said the middle, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, this one came first. It says Ia was. And you know what? I probably can't even read it. I probably can't see it. You know what? Well, I got light the old-fashioned way. Look at this. I'll read it later. I can't see it. I can't see it. It's too dark. But it's not dark enough to do night vision. So you know what? I'm gonna bring all this in because I can't do the night vision right now, and you guys can't see me.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. You know, I hope someday I get to hang out with you and I get to, you know, see the night vision. I mean, I would love to see a UFO. You know, I have a footage. I think I told you this, Missy. I have a footage of I don't know if I told you this or not. Back like in November, December, when the drone thing was like, and this is on my Instagram. People can go look at it. You know, my Instagram's at Khalil Robert. It's at my last name, first name. You know. Anyway, I was sorry, my mind's scattered, but I was doing a podcast and I came outside for a smoke and I looked up in the air and I saw a drone. And it looks like kind of like a plane or a drone, but then I got it on film. But then a couple of days after that, I'm just making a long story short, I was walking to the gas station and I saw an orb. It was like shape shifting and it was like different colors. I tried to film it and my phone like literally like went out. So I got the drone on film, but I didn't get the orb. But I still haven't seen like a classic UFO. I guess you could call the orb kind of, but like, you know, I'd love to see a UFO. So I hope one day we get to hang out. I'd love to use the night vision goggles, you know.
I'm looking through them right now because it is dark enough. I mean, it's still light, but I can see because the whole thing with the technology, you know, I'm seeing a mover right now.
Wow.
stuff, but a lot of things it's satellites and space junk. So unless it does something really spectacular, you don't know. But anyway, I looked through them, so I want to go inside so that way, if I want to pull cards, I can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm going to change location, you guys, and it's going to be jumbled for a minute, but that's okay. But here's a few bubbles before we go. In honor of, instead of fireworks, we've got bubbles.
That's cool. I love that. Reminds me of when I was a kid. I remember using bubbles when I was a kid, you know? Like, oh, man. This is from A. This is a question. I'll put it up on the screen. This is from A. Lamb 7771. She said, or he or she says, any info on what caused the flooding occurring in Kerrville, Texas right now? She says, I just said.
Say it again, Rob. Any what?
I don't know if this is a guy or a girl, but they said any info on what really caused the flooding occurring in Kerrville, Texas right now. They said, I'm in Kerrville, and this rain just came from nowhere overnight. So far, 13 dead and 23 still missing. Wow. I haven't looked into this yet.
I haven't looked into that either. I mean, a friend of mine just sent me something, too, about, storms in Las Vegas, like, windstorm. I mean, the thing is all the weather is just escalating right now. It's just craziness,
I'll put it through ChatGPT for her, for this person. I'll see what ChatGPT says. I'll ask for the conspiracy. I'll say what would happen in Kerrville, Texas, and give me. I'll say go to the void or something. I don't know how to ask this. With the flood. I'm just asking to see what ChatGPT says. Let's see real quick. Sometimes I can get good information out of it. That's what makes me think. I wonder, like with AI, it's like here's what it says. It says, in the early hours of July 4th, 2025, 5 to 10 inches and some spots over a foot of intense rainfall poured over Kerr County. This triggered a sudden catastrophic flash flood along the Guadalupe River. What occurred? The Guadalupe River rose 20 to 22 feet within just a couple hours, reaching 29 to 30 feet levels not seen in decades. Flash flood emergencies were issued for Kerr and surrounding areas. The river surge overwhelmed low water crossings, washed out roads, and destroyed. Human impact: 13 were killed. About 23 girls from Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' summer camp beside the river, were unaccounted for. Oh my God. How crazy is that? So, I don't know if this person knew that, but listen to that. I'm going to repeat it again. 23 girls from Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' summer camp right beside the river, were unaccounted for.
Unbelievable.
And then it says addressing the go deeper, go to the void conspiracy claims. It says there's no evidence supporting conspiracy. So it says it didn't really But it says a summary. It says this was an intensely destructive meteorological event. He said it's ChatGPT doesn't think it's a conspiracy, but I don't know. I think they're messing with the weather. I think I really do.
Messing with the weather, and like I said, I really feel like if that was a true victory in Florida with the whole thing that they're not allowed to spray chemtrails. I didn't see any when I was in Florida. That's one thing. I did not see one chemtrail when I was in Palm Beach County. Now, I know other parts of Florida they were still spraying them. That's because I was in Trump land, and that airspace was clean when I was there.
Yeah.
So we need to pray, douse, set our intentions, do wishing machines, radionics, whatever we do for energy work to ask that this weather modification would be defunded on the physical levels. And then the interdimensionals, we're going to have to work on that level too. But at least the human boots on the ground, that they will not participate with it anymore.
Here's a good question, Missy. Does anybody know like what their whole purpose is for doing chemtrails? Like, I mean, like not even. I mean, do they have a goal in mind of what they're besides like I mean, like, do they feel like they can do something positive with it? Is it to like stop global warming or something? Or in their eyes,
the ultimate purpose I've heard is to block the sun's rays out. What are they trying to hide that's going on with the sun? But then when they're using things like barium, aluminum, and strontium, and we're, that's affecting us. It's affecting the crops. I mean, but it's good and bad, I guess. I mean, or whatever, because on a bad level, obviously it's affecting crops with the fluoride in the water. So between what they spray, the aerosol sprays of that, plus other chemicals, bacteria, and who knows what, viruses, bacteria, whatever, so they can make jabs and sell them, all the above, then all that ends up in our food and water supply.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I wanted to ask you this: did you ever go deep into the conspiracy where people say that they think there's a second sun or a sun simulator?
That's what I was bringing up before with the white sun when Indy was in there, that the sun behind the sun, the Nazis and Hitler and different people have been obsessed with the black sun.
Yeah.
The black sun, they say that the black sun was Saturn, and then there was, an actual black sun, which is because if there's a white sun, there would be a black one because everything is dualistic in nature, right? Which may go to like a black hole, which maybe it's a mirror universe of going into another realm. Have you ever heard of Yellow Rose for Texas? You can put that in the comments for people to check on Yellow Rose for Texas and what she says about it.
Wow. That's fascinating. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's really fascinating. Like,
these interesting videos about, whether we're going to go through the East Gate, the West Gate. I don't know for sure, but I know something weird is happening. And that goes back to what, Ashana Dean says too, like getting your, working on like your plasma body, not just your external light body, but your internal, eternal self, to go into the more into the interior, because what some are saying is that we're going back to the internal, eternal creation. Like this version, this expression of whatever we're in has exhaled as far as it can exhale. Well, now it's going to take a deep breath inhale, almost like the whale, Jonah and the whale. That whale's going to take in all that water again before it, I don't know. But anyway, let me go back to your card and see what I pulled, because I can actually see now. Sort of. You know what? There's still not enough light here. I have to turn this light on. Okay. You would, the passage, interpretation. This rune represents death, a magical sign. It can be associated with the notion of protection against danger. Ia was. That's not really giving me enough. I can't say it's giving me enough information. Like I said, these cards are new, so I haven't really, played much. So I'm going to pick another one, which is Kanaz, which is the convalescence, the opening, the mystery of regeneration through death. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. Going through the sun, going through this white sun into the black hole. It is the rune of the artist, the craftsman, and the magician, which goes back to the whole thing of why I wanted to bring out my Harry Potter deck. I just felt like it's just a card deck. Another thing that when I do an Amazon order and I have to, so this is a way to get your cards or any of your magical tools when you need to order your whatever supplements or, things that you need, whether it's stuff to fix things on Amazon, because it's easier sometimes than going to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. Then you could, if you have $10 you need to actually spend if you don't have Prime, because right now I still don't order. I've had Prime. I don't order enough that I have to have Prime, because I'll order from Vitacost, and I go to Trader Joe's, and like the other day I went to the French Broad Co-op because I was looking for something instead of like going to Whole Foods, and then there's Earth Fare and places like that. This way, if you got just a little bit of money, $10 or $12, order something fun like some tarot cards or some crystals or something, or an essential oil. That's a way to help yourself,
That's a good point. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, I mean, I have Prime, so I usually just get but I think they'll deliver it same day, right? If you do that.
But a lot of the reason I don't have it right now, because if you spend $35, you get free shipping anyway. That's why I don't have it right now.
Wow, that's a good. Yeah, I never. Yes, I mean,
for right now anyway, because if I had it, I'd just probably buy. You have to curb. Sometimes you got to curb your buying. You don't want to get into this thing of stockpiling too much. I mean, I've already been down that road, and then it's just it gets to be too much. But somebody, is there any more questions here? I'm pulling a Harry Potter card, and I got Ron Weasley. It's the Jack of that would be like the Jack of Clubs, which is the Knight of Wands, which is about risk taking. So what, we're in a position where we actually, to get ahead right now, moving forward, we actually have to take some risks. Does anybody have any questions? And did you get Indy? No.
She's not answering, but let me see here. If anybody else wants a reading, or if he has any questions, put them in the chat, and we can answer them now. We'll get to. I was just reading this. A. Lambs wrote. She said, "I'm guessing this is." She said, "Yes, it's very eerie." She's talking about that Texas thing again. She said it happened in the middle of the night with no warning. They're still trying to rescue people. Man, that's horrible.
And what's the town again? And how close is this to Josephine, Texas? Because
Cary, Texas, or something like that. Or let me go back. Kerrville, Texas.
I'm not sure where. I'd have to actually look that up on a map and to see and to correlate with other things that are going on in Texas. And then I may get a reason why, because, flooding, sometimes it's natural, sometimes it's man-made, sometimes it's actually to clean things out. So it'd also be interesting to know whether there's sinkholes and things around there, because that ends up happening too a lot of times. It's sinkholes.
Yeah.
After the ground becomes unstable and things start to change, that's what will happen, and the ground will just collapse in other places. I mean, that's the thing that scares me, that I'm not tuning into that right now, but I was actually tuning into that in Western North Carolina, over the Christmas holiday, after coming back from after being away, being divinely removed when Helene happened.
She also said that they're in the path of the eclipse. She says when the eclipse happened, she says we were in the path of the total coverage during the eclipse. We were at X marks the spot area.
Wow. So that's interesting, because we had those two eclipses in the first one, I think, was it in 2017, I think. 2017, it went one way, and then the other one went the other way. Yeah. I remember the 2017 one because we went to Dillsboro and saw it. This last one I got, don't have anything to do with it. Don't look at it. I don't think it's a good thing. My cat Soda got really sick after that first one. I mean, I thought we were going to lose her then. I mean, she started throwing up, and then we had her for 2 more years. But, I just got, a lot of bad juju after that eclipse, and that's when my voice started to go away, because I was doing podcasts regularly. And that eclipse, I think it was 2017. I can't remember. You guys can look it up, but that's when it's like I almost lost my voice and wasn't able to talk. I had to go silent, dark.
Wow. Oh, holy shit. Yeah. Do you think they like it's a change for humanity when there's eclipses like that? And do you think that's brought in by the dark or something like that? Like, or could it
I
be?
think it illuminates what's going on according to what is going on in your chart, like your Saturn return. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, but there are very good astrologers out there that would know much more than me. And I'm not saying going to Chat GBT or Grok to get you can get some information, but I wouldn't, use that as like the be all end all for astrology going to AI. Definitely not. It's not organic. Although this brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, what I've been using AI for. Because you said, what have I been doing? And, after I was suffering some health things in April, I got the Weight Watchers app, but it wasn't just about Weight Watchers and the points. It was about tracking macronutrients, because I've been following something online called Warrior Babe that talks about, especially women, how they have to do strength training, not just for bone density and things like that, but strength training is good to help reset the hormones, because when you have more lean body mass, you burn more calories and all this stuff. But to do that, you have to actually track your macronutrients, which is getting the right amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fat at each meal. And doesn't matter whether you're plant-based or you're keto, or, well, I guess if you're keto, you don't do that, but if you're plant-based, which is what I mostly am, I'm vegetarian, you can still do that, whether it's through, tofu or tempeh or eggs or, dairy products, thing like that, and trying to get the right thing, which is a gram of protein per pound, which is tough to do. It's not easy to get. And even people that eat meat can't do it. There's no way you could eat that much chicken or whatever it is. You actually have to supplement with like protein powder and protein shakes and protein bars. Okay. But since I've done that, it's like weird. What you research is what comes up on Instagram, what comes up on Facebook, what comes up on X, or everything. The more you look at something, the more the ads start coming up, like you should buy this product and that and that. Now, the newest thing I've been hearing about is the sugar diet. Have you heard of this?
No, what's that?
The sugar, and they say this is actually good for fatty liver, and it's not what you think. There's a lady called Freely Banana, and one I've been following for years, Fully Raw Christina. Now, she's not in the sugar diet, but the sugar diet is like you only eat fruit, and with no fat. You can't have any fat at all, and very little protein during the day, but it's mostly like fruit. But it could be even sugar, like raw sugar. Now, they're not saying high fructose corn syrup, but it could be maple syrup, it could be honey, and you put it in your smoothies. You can drink orange juice, you can drink pineapple juice, you can eat as many watermelons or bananas or whatever you want. You don't count calories, none of that. And then late in the day, if I hear this right, you skip a few hours, like maybe it's around 5 o'clock, and that's when you would eat your protein and vegetables. But you still are supposed to eat very little fat on this diet. And then I was listening to some people that are like on the carnivore diet, and how they went to eating honey because their blood sugar was too I mean, it's just interesting how this stuff is all over the place with diet. It's
What I've been doing. I'm doing something like it's really interesting. It's something similar. It's like I don't know. So like I haven't been eating hardly like no meat at all, like none. Like I get this a big thing of like vegan protein powder, which is like I usually get the Garden of Life, or now I have Orgain, which is pretty good. I like that, and then I'll mix it with like nut milk or almond milk or or oat milk or whatever. And then I've been any other time I want to eat anything, so I have these vegan protein shakes. And then anything else, anytime else I want to eat, I have watermelon. I buy watermelon like every day because I found out all these amazing health benefits about watermelon. Like, like I found that it even makes you like pee more, like, like, so you'll like lose water weight, but at the same time it hydrates you. It supposedly has lycopene in it, which can, help fight cancer and stuff like that. And like it has like so many, it's like a super fruit, like, I don't know. So I like watermelon a lot, so I've been sticking with that, and it's helped me. I guess it's helped me lose weight, but that's all I'm eating. I'm eating is, I don't know how good that is for a diet, but I mean, it's kind of like what I've been doing, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a cleanse, but right now I'm really, even though I'm interested in these other things, I'm still leaning towards that, maybe the macros, following the macronutrients of trying to get like, so many grams of protein, so many, grams of carbohydrate that have to be complex carbohydrates, and then fat, but not too much fat, fat coming from avocados and things like that, and from like chia seeds and hemp seeds and pumpkin seeds and flax seeds, maybe a little bit of organic peanut butter, almond butter, stuff like that. And then in the shakes, I use Orgain. And also there's one called Owen that's really good. That's already in the bottle because that's got 32 grams of plant protein in it.
Wow. What brand is that again? Did you say?
OWYN.
Oh, I'll check that out. Yeah, because I've tried two kinds. I've tried the Garden of Life and I've tried the Orgain, and it seems like both of those they say they have probiotics. They say they have digestive enzymes, and they have BCAAs, which they say they say that BCAAs are like, or branched chain amino acids are like the building blocks of life. And someone told me, I don't know how true this is. They say if you have a bad liver, which I do, I have that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and they say that like, for that you need amino acids or something. I don't know. My friend told me that, not a doctor, so I don't know if that's true. It is,
Right. And that's what this one diet, the reason I thought of you, this sugar diet, they call it the fruit diet or whatever, is supposed to heal fatty liver. I got to look more into it because it might be something I want to do as a cleanse. Not yet, because I'm still working on, trying to, reset the, hormones and make sure I'm getting enough protein and all this stuff. It's just crazy. All this stuff, it's just,
honestly, Missy, this fatty liver scares the hell out of me because like sometimes it hurts and like, like I don't want to go back to the doctor. I mean, I got to go to the doctor soon because I got to get my prostate checked because I'm 45. And I think the last time I got it checked, I was maybe 42. So it's been 3 years. But then, and my dad died of cancer when he was 51 of prostate cancer. But he was also exposed to Agent Orange. And, I take a lot better care of myself than my dad did. I don't drink alcohol at all, whereas he did, so I mean, there's differences, but it's still probably genetic as well, so, but I mean, what I'm saying, I guess I have to go to the doctor soon, even though I don't want to. And, I maybe I'll have them check out my liver again, but like, it's crazy. When they told me I had fatty liver disease, they had no recommendations for it. They were just like, oh, you just live with it. You know what I mean? I was like, that doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? Like that, they had no solutions whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think anything can be healed, and they've put all the plants here to heal us. We just need to learn how to use them, like mushrooms. I know you're big into mushrooms too, aren't you?
Yeah. I have a couple sponsors that are like for Amanita mushrooms, and I like that a lot. It's a really helpful, and medicinal mushrooms too. Like I like the reishi, shiitake, turkey tail, chaga. I love those too. That supposedly those have beta glucans in them, which are like and beta glucans supposedly help fight off cancer as well. But supposedly you want to get the fruiting body of the mushroom. So like. When you get your like reishi, your turkey tail, your chaga, your shiitake, maitake, you want to look for one that's from the fruiting body, and then that has the beta glucans in it, and supposedly that's really good for you. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I heard. I heard that from Cliff High.
It's great. Is I went to a restaurant last week, I think it was, or a week or so ago, called Goldfinch when I was in Black Mountain. and they had fake crab cakes made out of lion's mane. Now I was disappointed because it was too much grease for me, but they had a lion's mane steak. So if I go back, I'm going to get the lion's mane because I've bought that at like an apothecary in Fletcher where my old house is, right? And I've cooked up lion's mane. It's delicious. Oh my God.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
It sounds really good. Does it taste like meat, or what's it taste like?
It doesn't taste like meat. I mean, I don't know what meat tastes like because I haven't had it in so long, but it's very savory and it's just good. It's different than a portobello. It's more falls apart more. It's more, maybe it'd be more like having like, it doesn't necessarily taste like crab meat, but more of a texture of something that falls apart more than say like a shiitake or a portobello. And you know what else I love is if I can get chanterelles. I've found them in the wild. I love those things. They're delicious.
Yeah, can I tell you, I'm coming more and more over your side, like the vegetarian side. I'm not completely vegan because I still drink regular milk sometimes because like I don't know, I gotta get away. But like I have this like, I'm fully conscious about meat now, where it's like, I can't even eat it because it makes me feel horrible. And then I'm like, I think about it, I'm like, this is almost like vampirism. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I feel bad for the animals, and I don't feel right about it. And I don't want anybody to get on my case. If you're a meat eater out there, I don't want you guys to not like me or whatever. I just, I'm telling you how I feel. And I feel more comfortable doing the vegan protein shakes and the watermelon for right now, and whatever else I can find that's vegetarian, because like, that's what's more comfortable for me. That's what I feel, I just, it's kind of like a dilemma I'm going through because, it's such a touchy subject. You know what I mean? Like there's like hardcore meat eaters and carnivores, and then there's hardcore vegans and stuff. And like, I don't want to piss anybody off. You know what I mean? But that's how I feel. I feel I'm more aligned to the same values you have,
Right. Yeah. I just happened to listen to this carnivore because it was so weird because she eats her own version of ice cream. She takes heavy cream, freezes it, and then puts cinnamon and vanilla extract on it or something. I don't know. It's just a weird thing, but they're really into like checking their sugar regularly. The thing is, the body runs on glycogen, so it doesn't make sense to me when the original diet would have been more fruitarian, how somebody could just live on meat, because that's like creating like acidosis and ketosis in the body. And I'm no expert on any of this, really, studied it, but of course this is for entertainment purposes and educational purposes. We're not diagnosing, treating, prescribing anything or telling anybody what to do. It's just we're sharing our experience of, it's just interesting. And we're going to do the quantum infinity again. What I want to do, Rob, is get on here and do the quantum, but the thing is we have to do that through Zoom because I wouldn't know how to present a screen show with that on this platform.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do this platform on my iPad yet. I got to figure out how to do it. Maybe if it gets sent through my email, that's what we'd have to do for me to bring it up on my iPad next time.
Okay. Yeah, we will do that for sure. Because I definitely want to do that. I mean, I had Karen on the other day with the Genius, and I mean, like, so like, I'm all about promoting that technology because I like both apps. I feel like there's I know they're kind of competitors, but like, like I feel like you guys are definitely onto something. I think like that's like I think that's the healing of the future. I really do. I really yeah.
Speaking of all that, remember when you had all that entity stuff going? How's that going for you now?
I didn't even want to say anything. But if I've been a little bit off tonight, it's because I can feel I have an energy like right here. That's why I was like going like this because on
the back of your neck.
Like it's like it feels like a magnet on the side of my head. Like, and I don't ever like to give it attention because like if it's someone that's doing it to me in the community, which I think is what it is. I don't want to give them any, whoosh to feed off of, or, but like, Yeah, it went away now. So I don't know, someone did. I don't know if that was you or,
It's going to go away for you. But do you turn off all your stuff at night? Do you turn everything off?
So this is what's weird. When I go to bed at night, it feels like there's invisible, like worms or something coming off my pillow in bed. Like it feels like lumps come off my bed, and like it feels like there's like little things. I know it's not bed bugs. It's not that. It's something completely visible. It's something spiritual. You know what I mean? And it's almost like it's infested in my bed. But like, going back to when that incident happened a couple months ago, I told you I was laying here one night and I was getting a lot of energy work then. And like, something came in and it was like scanning my head and it like pierced my crown and it sent these flashes into my eyes. And I started like almost convulsing. This was probably like 4 or 5 months ago now, and then after that, I had an entity attachment.
I'm trying to think because everybody was having weird stuff. I think it started for you right at the end of December and into January, right?
Yeah, but like it was building up before that. Like I was having paranormal activity for like 2 years, like where something was like touching me at night when my ex-girlfriend was here, and I thought it was her, and she'd be sleeping, and then then there was a point where I felt like there were entities like portaling in off this futon that I have behind me, and they were like loose feeding off my liver. But all those times I got rid of it, so that was like something new. But I don't know. It's crazy, to be honest with you. It really is. Like I don't know what the hell like. It's, I mean, like I just wish I mean, even my friend Priscilla asked me if she could clear it for me today earlier, and like it comes back. I've called on Jesus. I prayed. I've done new age stuff. I've done everything. You know what I mean? Like I think that people,
you turn your Wi-Fi and your router and all that stuff off at night.
No, because I listen to like Art Bell at night. I'm like addicted to listening to Art Bell. Or I'm addicted to listening to something when I go to sleep. I notice
if I fall asleep and my phone's near me, I don't feel good afterwards.
Do you think I should? Do you think I should just like?
Once you fall asleep, if you have to wake up to go to the bathroom, you need to turn all that stuff off.
Yeah,
you can listen, or if you can download it so you can turn that off.
Yeah,
it'll still play if it's downloaded, and that's not good either. But at least you're not getting a signal because are you in a 5G area?
I could be, but what's interesting is like Renetta said that the entities, they travel through electricity. That's what she used to say, that the entities kind of traveled through electricity.
How old is the house that you're living in?
I'm not sure. It's an apartment complex. There's like 10 or 12 apartments. It goes around like it's like I would say
what was it? Okay, tell me what it looks like inside. Where's the air conditioning and the heat? Is it in the floor? Does it come out of the ceiling? How old do you think the building is?
I'm not sure. It seems like somewhat new, Okay. But what was weird? One thing I noticed. I don't know if this has anything to do with it.
What floor?
Wait, what's that?
What floor are you on?
Oh, I'm up on the second floor.
So you have people above you?
No, I'm above people.
Good. At least you don't have anybody above you. That's good.
Yeah, but like I have directly.
If you have to be in an apartment complex, it's better to not have people above you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because their energy would be coming through. The only thing about it is below you, though, you're not grounded because you've got you're not grounded to the earth. So that's not good either. But still, if you had to take one or the other, I think it's worse to have people above you.
Yeah.
Even the noise and things like that, too. And do you have people next to you, or you have like people next to you on one side, but maybe on one side you don't have people?
I have people on both sides of me.
Okay. Yeah.
So is that like that,
No, you just need to fortify like your shields on the inside, like set protection, and maybe do things with copper and crystals in the corners of the room. What? I don't know exactly. I'd have to meditate on it, but you need to, there's work that has to be done in the space,
Yeah. I agree 100%. Yeah, like it's just it seems like some, I don't know. Oh, that's what I was saying. I went off track. I was saying, so when I first moved in here, there was a like an Indian guy that lived in this apartment before me. And when I first came in this apartment when we were moving in, I noticed like a really odd smell. You know what I mean? Like something you would smell in like a spiritual store, like, you know. And I was thinking, and the first thought that came to my head was he burning something? Because I know that he had a baby, the guy who lived here. And I was wondering if maybe he was burning some kind of like Indian sage or something that they have, because maybe he was worried there was entities here and that he had, you know, he had worry about his baby.
Native American Indian, not East Indian, right? Because
No, he was like Eastern Indian, you know, Eastern.
Indian could be like a Nag Champa type of a thing.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm burning both things. I'm burning Indian, you know, East Indian type of incense and sage right now as we talk. Clear July programming, clear it, all of it. You know, clear the, like I said at the beginning, the bombs bursting in air. That's the World War III timelines. That's what we need to work on clearing.
I agree. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say, but I know I was doing really well as far as with this entity stuff. Like it just started happening like the last few days again, out of nowhere. You know, like I don't know. I thought I beat it. You know, but then it's just
power lines. How close are the power lines to you?
Oh, they're like right out in the. They're right there basically.
And what about cell towers?
I don't think they're. I live in a kind of rural area. You know, so I don't think there's cell towers that close. You know,
what about streams and groundwater?
That's a good point. I don't know. You know, I'm not sure.
Are you on a hill? Is it flat land or what? Because water.
I'm on a hill.
You're on a hill. So that means that water would run, because if there's groundwater underneath you, you know, that's not necessarily positive. And sometimes the energy of the groundwater is not, you know, it's not a positive thing, and you have to redirect that energy. So what I want you to do, your homework assignment, is to really look at the lay of the land and try to find out, even on Google Map, like where the rivers and streams and things like that are, also where the power lines are, because all that works together in a way that can possibly create geopathic stress.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. What is geopathic stress again? Like, I don't know.
It's what I'm talking about. This, yeah, you can ask Chat GBT for an exact definition. Will you do that?
It's like electronic interference in your life. Like
electronic. It's interference from the geology too, because you know it's pathic, because you become empathic. So it's the geological structures and how they interface with the artificial structures, you know, with the 5G. But ask ChatGPT for an exact definition, because it'd be interesting to know what it says it is.
Yeah. Let me look. Hold on one second. What you call it? Geomagnetic interference?
No, geopathic stress.
Geopath. Hold on, I'll ask it. Let me see here real quick.
Because I can't do AI while I'm doing this, because like before, when I tried to send a link, it actually booted me out of the studio. So I don't want to change screens at all. If I do, I might be booted out.
It says geopathic stress refers to the idea that a natural or man-made distortions in the Earth's electromagnetic fields can negatively affect human health, sleep, and energy levels. This term comes from geo, earth, and pathic, suffering, or disease. It suggests certain places or zones emit frequencies harmful to biological systems, impacting sleep, immunity, and mental clarity. It says causes underwater water veins, fault lines or geological fractures, mineral deposits, global geomagnetic grids, EMF pollution, tunnels, underground rail systems, and it says claimed effects. It can cause insomnia, chronic fatigue, headache, lowered immune system, mood swings, I have mood swings lately. I get really triggered lately. Disruption of natural healing processes, potential increased big C, with long-term exposure. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's not good. I got to figure that out,
Affect that. And that's one thing I noticed when I would do paranormal investigations. And this is going to bring me back around to what I wanted to tell you about Perry. So when I used to do paranormal investigations with Joshua P. Warren, I would notice in these older houses, and talking about those wormy things, okay, I saw those in a basement looking through the night vision when I was looking at where there was like pipes coming out of the wall. I saw all these wormy things all over these pipes, but there was like one place that we did a paranormal investigation. There was like a temperature fluctuation of like 10 degrees in the same house.
Wow.
From room to room, and the house was built on an Indian burial ground for one, and it had the underground water. It had mold and mildew, and it also had the electricity. I would call it dirty electricity, where the electricity, the alternating current coming through the wall, it was just not grounded properly. Like,
I gotta tell you about that. So I got two things this might help you like diagnose here. So my studio here, okay, that there's like maybe, there's another bedroom in this apartment, and then we have a downstairs, and there's like a couple rooms down there. So maybe there's like, maybe 6 rooms in this apartment total. Okay. The whole place gets cold in the summer from the air conditioner, except my studio. The whole place gets warm in the winter, except my studio. So in the winter, it's always freezing in here. In the summer, it's always hot as balls in here. Excuse my language. And like it's never like the air conditioning or heating never seems to work in here. Like for whatever the season is. And then I wanted to tell you this. So one morning, I came downstairs to make coffee at like 5 a.m. because I don't sleep a lot. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. But I came down and I was making coffee at like 5 a.m. and I noticed the microwave beeping, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And the microwave said short circuit, and then I was like, I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, oh, I have to, and and then I started to smell, because I've always had a really good scent of smell, I started smelling something burning. And I went over to the wall and I touched the wall, and the wall was heating up, and I couldn't unplug the microwave because I found out the microwave was wired into the wall, right? Okay, so now I had to call the fire department because, I didn't know where the shutoff switch was downstairs. Now I do, but and then, the landlord hasn't fixed that yet, he hasn't fixed that yet. So I don't know if there's bad wiring here. Plus like what I told you about the temperature, but that's what is going on, but because of the bad wiring, I could have died, or potentially lost everything. Like, good thing I came downstairs when I did, because if I wouldn't have, it might have been curtains, and sometimes I feel like that stuff's targeted, but I can't prove it. And I don't want to sound crazy, so I just don't even acknowledge it. But, it's always on the back of my mind.
You have smart appliances and smart meters too.
Yeah.
Because everything in that apartment would have smart meters, right?
Probably. But I Karen at McDonald asked me where the smart meter was, and I can't find it for some reason. I have no clue where it is. Like, I don't know if it's on the outside.
It wouldn't be in your apartment. It would be on the building somewhere, probably.
Maybe on the side of the building or something?
On the side of the building somewhere, right?
Because someone told me that they have copper rings that fit around perfectly around those, and you can just put one of those on them, and that supposedly helps a little bit. I don't know.
So as far as the temperature things, this was occurring to me today. Have you ever had mice in your apartment?
No.
Oh, that's good. Because mice will get into the ducts and they'll chew things, they'll chew wires and all kinds of stuff. So,
well, we probably have chipmunks because there's a bunch of like chipmunks that hang out outside of here, and that it could have been chipmunks.
Oh, they're so cute.
They are. there's one. It's funny. He's always every time I come out of the apartment, he's watching me, and then he'll go scurry away. You know, like they're. You know, that's one thing about living in Pennsylvania. You see all kinds of wildlife, and we have like, you know, chipmunks, squirrels, raccoons, deer.
You have to. Puxatawny, you have to have groundhogs.
Yeah, it's
there. Phil lives there.
Yeah. You know, I went there before. I went there and back in it was I'll tell you real quick. I went there in 1999. My friend, I had just got home from college. I was going to school out in Philadelphia, and I moved back home. And my friend contacted me. He was like, "Let's go up to Punxsutawney for the groundhog." I was like, "Okay," and it was insane. It was insane. It was like the biggest party I'd ever seen in my this. I heard it's calmed down a lot now, but this was back in 1999, and it was like, I mean, you want to talk about ruckus? It was crazy. I mean, it was like the whole town. It's like Groundhog Day, but like times 100. It's like the whole. It's insane. It's like, and it used to be a lot of young kids would go there, you know. But like, I don't know what happens now. I haven't went in so long because I live like maybe 2-3 hours from it or something like that.
That sounds so fun. I mean, that movie. You remember the movie, right?
Oh yeah. And they have really good food there too. That's one thing about Pennsylvania. We have like a lot of good food here, you know, and you can find like really nice bed and breakfasts up there and stuff like that. And like it's a good area, you know.
When my grandmother lived in New Jersey, we used to go to New Hope, Pennsylvania regularly.
Wow. You had really good food growing up in New Jersey too, right? Because they you know, like Philly, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, like New York, like these places are known for good food, you know.
Yeah, great pizza and things like that. You know, if you like stuff like all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking of Sonny and Cher movie. I Got You, Babe. I mean, in the movie, I Got You, Babe, because that song would keep playing over and over again, and that kind of brings me back to, you know, this whole Love Island thing, because it's like the programming with this, the day, you know, resetting and living the same thing over and over again. And most people aren't aware of it. You have to become aware of it in the game. But back to the Pisgah Astronomical Research Center, because we got off on another thing when I was talking about my conspiracy vortex tour in Western North Carolina in Rosman. And the tunnels, when I went there with Joshua and Lauren, they would not let us go in the tunnel. It's like this guy got all upset and said, "We don't let people go in there anymore." And I thought that was awfully weird, like why he acted that way. Like, because when I went there a few years previous, we were allowed to go in there, and now they don't let anybody go see that anymore. So I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think on a deeper level? Do you think there's something?
Well, I do think there's stuff going on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connect tunnel systems, because, you know, they say that there's tunnels under Asheville. They say there's tunnels under the Biltmore Estate. I mean, actually, I know there's tunnels under Asheville because I know people that have been in them. I mean,
I had Gene Decode on, and thanks to Indy, you know, Indy introduced me to Gene Decode, and he was telling me that he thinks that the whole United States or the world has underground cities. I was talking about this with Ray before you came on, he said there's maglev trains that connect everything, and like, you know, it's connected to alien life down there supposedly. And then that takes me back to Art Bell. I said this to Ray as well, but you know, this Native American came on to Art Bell one time. He was like an elder, and he was saying that like everything we have up here, they have down there. So he thought that they have, you know, water bodies and, you know, everything, you know.
I've heard that, and people, have you heard these things that people are asking AI all this stuff, and that, you know, that why everything's such a, I mean, it's weird. I haven't used when I do AI, I don't use it for that. It's pretty much, I use it for supplements. It's like, I'm afraid to go to that. You know, I've made some fun pictures and different things like that, but I don't ask it philosophical anything. It's more like scientific, like, you know, tell me what's good for this, what's good for that, you know, break down my macronutrients for the day. I haven't used it for that esoteric stuff. I'm kind of scared to go that route.
Yeah. So do you think that the macronutrients is the key to losing weight then? Is that like, is that what I should be doing?
It might be the tried and true way. I don't know. I mean, but according to what I'm seeing with the research now, that's probably one of the safest, best ways, because you're not going to get anywhere doing fat diets. This is a lifestyle change, but it's not easy to do. It's not
Yeah.
to be tracking your food all the time, but I mean, you can get apps to do it. Like I think there's one called MyFitnessPal. I'm using Weight Watchers because I got it for $10 a month, and I've already paid for it, and I'm able to do it on there. It does a point system, but I would look into MyFitnessPal, and then what you do is you scan your food with a barcode, or you measure it or weigh it. I mean, it gets to be a pain in the ass when you put your food on the scale, but you really don't even know what food weighs until you start measuring it or weighing it. But then eventually you'll be able to eye your food and know, how much.
Oh my God, Missy, you're not going to believe this. So I was on Instagram the other day. I don't know if you saw this yet, but like, or if this is what you're talking about, but they have scales now that like tell you the exact calorie amount in your, like, so this guy showed an example of it. He was making eggs, and he put the eggs on the scale, and then it gave this full breakdown of the exact calorie content, the exact amount of protein, the exact amount of fats. I was like, holy shit. I was like, how advanced have we gotten? Like, I was like, I've been doing fitness for years. I've worked out on and off. I've been in really good shape, and I've been in really bad shape, and like, and in between, but like, so I know a lot about fitness, and like, I've never seen anything like that where, you can put an egg down and it'll tell you the exact nutritional, how does it know? You know what I mean? Like, how does it, I wonder how it knows, it's like, I don't know. Maybe you have to input something or something. I don't know.
I log my food in. I don't know about that. I mean, I have just a scale I got on Amazon again for $10, that does ounces, it does grams, it does milliliters or whatever, it'll do any of that stuff. But then also, using like, tablespoons and, Pyrex measuring cups, stuff like that. But also on the back of something is a barcode. So when you want to, like this tea here, I got this tea, right? This Tulsi tea. Now this would have no point value or calorie value or anything, but what you would still do is you would scan the barcode, and if it's input in the system, it would know, oh, this is Tulsi sweet rose tea. Or if it's like Trader Joe's coconut almond creamer, it knows, or maple syrup. Like if I want to have that with my coffee, it knows what it is.
Wow, that's amazing.
Sauerkraut, it knows what it is. Like sauerkraut has absolutely, eat that. It's great probiotics. It has like no calories, like 5 or 10 calories in the whole thing. It's like nothing, Oh, by the way, have you heard about this? I've not only heard about prebiotics and probiotics, but have you heard of postbiotics now?
No, what's that?
I'm not sure, but it's another thing you have to take. It's like it's in your food. I'm not sure which foods have postbiotics. I have to start looking into that.
Oh man, this world's crazy. Everything we talked about tonight, with everything that's going on, I'm talking about like everything that's going on in the world. Like if someone 20 years ago would have told me this, would have told me I'd be doing this and I would know about all this stuff, I would think that they were in some bizarre never land. I'd be like, what are you talking about? But here we are. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, welcome to the Matrix, I don't know. Like I never would have thought that like the world would have been this bizarre 20 years ago. Because I was so involved in the Matrix, but now you see outside of it, and now we see all this like insanity, it's I don't know, it's very
song, Rob. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's
I love that song.
The end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
That's a great song. I love that song. I do. It's amazing. Oh shit! I've been going 3 hours and 30 minutes.
So when I posted, you said this was going to be like Art Bell style. Guess what song I had to put for like the bumper music for the ad for this show?
What'd you use?
Ride my seesaw.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll tell you this real quick before we go. I'm gonna start learning how to take calls. Like I know I keep saying it, but like I'm working on it with ChatGPT because I want to find out the best way to do it. But that's my next thing. Is like that's like the next big progression of my podcast. Is I really want to learn how to take calls. Like I think it's a must. Like because then like think about it tonight. Like while we were going over all this stuff, we could have been taking calls. And then, it would have been so much fun. You know what I mean? Like that'd be a blast. Like, so and that would work out perfectly for a show like yours because me and you talk about so much different stuff and you're so good with the audience and about so much different stuff. It would work out like taking calls would work out perfectly for a show like this. It would, yeah. So I think I'm going to try to do that.
I'll let you know if we think we're coming up to like West Virginia or that area, like if we're going to do Mothman. I don't know if we are, but it's a possibility. So
yeah. And I want to get together with Indy and say, like maybe we should all get together, like, get our audiences together and all of us, you know what I mean? Like you, Noko, Indy, me, and like my moderators and stuff like that. And like, and just try to get a big get together, and try to make it affordable.
Still, I would not say that Charleston also is completely off the table as far as doing an event. I almost thought 11/11 might be a good time since it didn't happen. I mean, I didn't feel 4th of July was the right time anyway. It's too hot down there and too humid and too crowded and too expensive and not able to find anywhere to stay anyway. Even if you did want to do it, you're just better off to be in the off season to find a place that's going to be cheaper. But 11/11, not only is it like important in the new age for people seeing 11/11 on the clock, make a wish, that's also the anniversary of World War I. And I know that Ray brought up some things about World War I. I got to listen to that in the very beginning because I think I missed the first few minutes. And he also brought up Montauk, which was, got some interesting stuff with that where we have to go down that lane sometime,
Oh, speaking of which, so there's James's conference too. Are you going to try to go to that?
I don't think I'm going to be able to go now because I have a friend. It's so hot in Florida for one. I need to talk to James about this. I do want to get a live stream ticket. I've just got so much on my plate. My dad's going to have a cataract surgery at some point. And also my friend is going to the Maldives diving on a liveaboard boat. Doesn't that sound amazing? In spite of all the crap that's going to be going on, but she's going on Emirates Airlines or whatever, so she'll be Emirates. She'll be fine because they'll treat her better on that than our airlines. But I have to watch 5 cats.
Whoa, wow.
Cat sitting, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Like, oh, they're great. I love them. So I kind of want to do that. It's not that I don't want to go to Florida. It's just the timing isn't right to happen,
Yeah. But maybe we can all do something, it's a good idea, like, I don't know what, but I mean, I know I wanted to come to that last event Indy had and I couldn't make it, but it seems like you guys had an amazing time,
Yeah.
It was in Arkansas. Yeah, that's what it was. Arkansas. Yeah. I'm starting to get my mind's starting to get
take care of you. It's time. I'm going to go probably outside, look through the night vision real quick, see if I see anything, and then get ready because I got a massage at 9:15 in the morning tomorrow. That's kind of early to have one, but I'm just grateful to get one. So.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Well, do you want to tell people how they can get a hold of you or how they can follow you or anything like that?
Readings, sessions, and I don't really advertise that much. People just find me, but the best way right now to get me is just to email me, which is Hill, Hill, Night, NITE, Vision, VISION, Hill Night Vision @gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook through mutual friends, on Instagram and X.
That's awesome. Yeah. And well, thank you so much, Missy. You and Ray made this an amazing show. This was
My show was called Galactic Earth Fusion. So if you type that in, you might find some old shows, because I had interviews with Laura Eisenhower and people like Peter Moon, and
that's awesome.
yeah. And I told you like Tim Beckley, who's not with anymore.
Oh, I gotta see that. I love Tim Beckley. I've had Tim Schwartz on my show many times, but like I never got to interview Tim Beckley, and I was such a fan of his work.
Yeah, Tim Beckley introduced me to those people like Maria D'Andrea, Tim Schwartz, who I've never met except through Instagram, and Peter Moon. All of them was because of Tim Beckley.
Wow. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, I definitely want to hear your interview with him. Like I was a big fan of his work. I like him and Tim Schwartz because they're always talking about something like weird paranormal, I really like their work. It's awesome. It's like
I get it, because the problem is a lot of this, if it didn't get uploaded to YouTube, was on Blog Talk Radio, and Blog Talk's no more. So I don't know what happened to all those, if they're just gone, or I have no idea.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me because before this I had like an MMA podcast, like like UFC and stuff like that, because I used to train and stuff, and same thing happened to me. Like they took the Blog Talk Radio down, and I guess I lost all my old shows,
Yeah.
And I had interviews with like legendary fighters and jiu-jitsu guys and stuff like that, and like it would have been nice to listen to. I kind of just forgot about it, but like that sucks. They should.
I have passed. That's the problem. Like these interviews, like you said, like Shawn David Morton. I got to meet him when I was on the cruise, and like Julian Wells, he passed away. Him and Franco Di Nicola. I had interviews with these people, and they're not around anymore. So yeah, that's how it goes.
Wow. What was Shawn like in person?
Character. Really a character, because he was into this whole thing of like not paying taxes and all that stuff, and doing things about all that. And then he was like, on one of the cruises, they were there to arrest him afterwards. Like,
what? Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Oh my God, I think I heard about that too. Right? Like it's yeah, that's so funny. Oh my God, that's wow. Well, this was amazing, Missy. I can't believe we went 3 hours and 40 minutes. So like I saw some new people join the chat. Like if you missed it, go back and watch this. Ray did tarot readings, and then me and Missy had an amazing conversation. So thank you so much to Ray. Thank you so much to Missy, and this was amazing. And happy 4th of July, everybody.
Hi to everybody. Everybody have a great second half of the year, and we'll see where we end up, I guess. Let's,
Yeah. And thanks, Missy. It's always good seeing you. Take care, everyone. Good night.